Morning. What is going on? Go get your coffee or your trickets, whatever you indulge yourself with the morning of the beautiful hours of this Central America weather. Give me 1 second. All right. Let me see. Man, it is a humid morning, but that's all right. Gotta go mow the grass today. Gonna wait for all that water to get off the grass so I can do that. I bet. It's probably humid over there. What's the humidity in Florida right now? It's probably like 80% humidity in Florida. It's in the 80s. I knew it. I should have said 95% humidity. Might as well just be 100% humidity. You just walk outside and just walk into clouds of water. It's like, nah, it doesn't rain in Florida. No, it just stays rainy. Like, it doesn't actually come down. It's just floating everywhere. Just walk right into it. I had a buddy that he was from the Houston area, and he said that he used to do like a bike, I don't know what you call it, but dirt bike competition or whatever. And he said that, I mean, he would walk outside and literally like from his front door to his vehicle, we're talking anywhere between 15 to 20 feet or maybe 30 feet, if that. He said he'd be drenched like as soon as he got out there. Like, it's not about you sweating. It's just you walking through these layers of water that are just in the air, just floating. And he said when the mosquitoes were bad, he goes, it is just unbearable. He said these trucks came and they would, let me look at what's up, guy?
Dang, big dog, been in the box forever, bro.
Nah, no, man. I was sitting there with my eyes closed and I was imagining the beach and how the sharks come up and are ready to unalive you while you're there, just beaching around on the surface of the water. But now he said that these trucks would come and they would spray. Apparently, in these certain areas of Houston, they spray for mosquitoes out there. And he said these trucks, man, everybody knows go in the house or don't be around when them trucks are coming. He said just fog everywhere, and it's just knocking these mosquitoes down. He said if they didn't, he said you'd have about 500 mosquitoes on you before you got from your front door to your vehicle. And now you're in your vehicle fighting them because, you walked in there and wherever you're going, you're fighting these mosquitoes. And he said the humidity and mosquitoes are ridiculous out there.
They do that in good morning, Brenda. They do that in Florida and they do that in Venezuela too.
Oh, they spray for mosquitoes?
Oh yeah, they fumigate everywhere, yeah.
Wow.
They do it in South Jersey also.
Jeez.
My brothers and sisters used to run after the trucks, the whole neighborhood.
Why?
With the fog. Back in those days, nobody knew any better.
That's why your generation be like forgetting stuff. Y'all
I
suck
send
up
my
all that
brothers
fog.
and sisters, okay? And you in Venezuela, they just put it in your water. What are you talking about?
It tastes better than the wine. Oh, we throwing them chocolatos early, early this morning. If you are new to this show and you are one of those people that love being in your feelings, you're going to enjoy this show for about 5 minutes, but we will offend you in the next 5, and you will be the one being laughed at and hating us. So laugh while you can. You're next.
Hey,
Generation of Darwinism.
last night I opened up live, me and some of my buddies, and we went through like the whole pact of Umar. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's basically the pact that supposedly Christians and Jews signed with Islamic believers to live in peace with them. But it's the most ridiculous thing. It's basically John. It's really Jim Crow laws is what it is. So like, if a Muslim comes up, they got to get up and you got to give them your position. As a Christian, you weren't allowed to like carry your Bible. Yeah, seriously, I'm not even making this up, bro. Like,
if an Islamic believer comes around, you got to get up and give him your position.
yeah, listen. I'm gonna give you like a couple of them, right? So one of them was like, if you sit down, if a Muslim comes up and he says, "Hey, I want your seat," you gotta like jump up and give him your seat. You can't like they made the Jews shave their head, like their curls and all that stuff. They had to shave all their head. They couldn't have any Bibles, no crosses, no symbolism whatsoever of their religion. You couldn't repair or erect any churches or synagogues. And these guys really believe that Jews and Christians just agreed to this. Like, this is just a good idea. This was their idea. They say this was their idea, bro. So what we did last night was we would like an Islamic believer would come up and we would be like, "Oh man, now that you're coming to America, you're gonna have to get up when we come around." Like we would just reverse and everything without telling them what we were doing.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like, "That's crazy. Lord. That's crazy."
I can't imagine telling someone, "Hey," I can't imagine telling them, "Hey, I'm a Christian. You need to get up from your chair."
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that's like saying, "Hey, I'm of a certain skin color, and you must get."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh man, dude,
so we were
battles.
We were literally.
Whoa.
Bruh,
I said we were literally getting under their skin, bro. Like they were getting upset. And then after
they probably thought you were serious. Well, they probably thought you were serious.
Well,
so,
they were.
Yeah.
They thought we were serious. But then as soon as we got them upset enough, we would just bust out the pact of Umar and be like, "Bro, this is what you guys did to us."
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Didn't. Oh man, bro.
And then we would pull out, like,
all of a sudden, they're like, "Well, wait a minute, that's different, though. That's different."
Yeah, no, that's what they would start saying. Like, but you guys made up these laws. We didn't make these up. Like you guys came up with these.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sound. But then we would have like Bible scriptures that go against each one and just show the contrast between Islam and Christianity. Whereas Christianity will tell you something like, admonish your brother other than yourself, higher than yourself, or like if they make you go 1 mile, go 2 miles, like the complete what they believe, and they did not like that, bro.
My Lord, dude. It's first it's like what country are you of, right? Romans, we're Romans, and you're gonna, so the carnal mind is, man, the thing is a genius at like just destroying the heart of man. It's like, what country are you from? Oh, well then you must do what we say. What skin color are you? Oh, wait a minute, you must do what we say. What religion are you?
Right.
I'm telling you, bro, Satan just sits back and takes notes. He's like, man, I created a masterpiece.
Yeah.
He got people wanting to fight over everything. And then when people, and then watch this. So these people, right, these crazy people that we're talking about, all of them, they become of a certain religion, right? And they bring their idiocracies into this religion. They're like, oh, no, that don't make sense. We're going to do it like this. It's like, bro, You just became part of
Right.
the religion yesterday.
Right.
It's like people from
Exactly, bro.
California, like people moving from California, and they're like, "Man, y'all's laws are dumb out here." And they're like, "Of course, you're used to living over there, bro. Of course, the laws are dumb over here in comparison to where you grew up. Don't come over here and try to change the laws over here. Like, bro, just go back to your state. You know, you don't
And
gotta,
right.
you don't gotta." You
Right,
know, and
right.
it's just like, man, dude, how do you not see, like, oh my Lord, man? And so,
Well, what is so
But
different about
that's
the laws there?
no,
Like,
no,
like,
no.
like,
But, well, no. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Flip. All you got to do is find someone that lived in California for a long time, move to Texas, and they will be able to answer all your questions because they're answering your questions based on the eyes of someone that's from California. Right. So they already know what you're used to. So they know exactly which law to tell you to make you, do a backflip in your seat. Right. So I guarantee you could probably like Google, people from California's complaints about moving to Texas. You'll see a whole list right there, but
well, brother.
Yes,
the,
it's
They come to
it's
Colorado
tons
and
of
ruin
laws,
us.
Flip, if you want to be technical, but it's just like, you know how we can't smoke on the inside. Now, Texas could have changed this, but in Oklahoma, when I used to be a smoker, in California, how we can't smoke inside the buildings. We have to smoke outside. And now we can't smoke in certain areas, period. So when I went to go do the laundry at the laundromat, I'm going outside to have me a cigarette because that's what we do. And this lady, this old lady, she was just like, "Baby, what you doing out here?" "I'm having a cigarette." She was like, "No, you can smoke inside." I said, "You can smoke inside?" She was just like, "Yes." "You must not be from around here." I said, "I'm from California." "Oh, y'all hug trigger. You tree huggers out there, y'all think everything tall, whatever. Bring, come on inside." It's laws that we are so accustomed to. Is what Trot is conveying. We know this, so for us it's normal. We go someplace else and it's things are ran differently. That's his point,
yeah.
Well,
and that's
So
just a
okay, like
basic.
hold on,
Texas
son.
for the past 10 years. Let
My
me
bad.
say this: for the past 10 or 15 years, the smoking thing that's been changing. So it's probably 25%, maybe lower than that now. It's probably 10 or 15% of areas where you can still smoke inside. The majority of them now, 75, maybe 85%, you cannot smoke. So that part in the past 15 years or so, that's changed. But yeah, it's a lot of those things like what she just, what was just brought up. It's how do you say it? It's just what you're used to and what you're not used to. And then sometimes you can go somewhere where there's 50 things that are different and you just happen to enjoy those 50 things. Well, obviously, the state you just went to, you're going to hate because you just went to a state that does 50 other things that you enjoy completely different. Now there's people that move from California to Texas and they love it because there was 20 things about California that they hated. And then they come to Texas and they're like, "Oh man, it's perfect." So it's just based on who you are, what you've come accustomed to, what you've grown up liking or disliking. And a lot of it comes to your values, like your personal values, how you view life. You can move to a state that, they'll let you have sexual relations with animals. Well, golly, if that's your thing, well, obviously you're going to move to that state. You're not going to want to live in a state where it's like, "Hey, you can't do that. That's a dog or that's a pet. You can't do that." So everybody moves to where they're accustomed to based on morals and values, and people's morals and values are just in different places. So, but
Yeah, my main point is the fact that these Islamic believers will go to other people's countries, conquer them, and then enslave them with their law, with these laws, like, um, and that's what California does, right? California, they're like Islamic believers. They go to other people's states and then they try to change
Not too
everything
much.
about their state.
Not too much, Dre. Not too much on California, bro.
Oh no, I
okay.
can't stand y'all. Y'all,
No.
Colorado
Let's
has
say it.
totally
Let's
destroyed the
say it.
state,
Let's say it a
destroyed
better way.
Colorado.
Let's say it a better way. The majority of people
Destroy
that
what?
let's say it a better way. A majority of people that move from California to other states, It is a known thing. Me and Dre are in two different states. A lot of people that move out of California, wherever they go, they try to bring their laws with them. That is a known fact. Now, that doesn't mean it's all Californians, but obviously the number is high enough to where most people from other states will agree, that they come and they're like, that is ridiculous. And they just want, and again, that's just based on from the areas that you're from, because people from California, when they come to Texas, they don't have Texas money. They have California money.
Exactly.
Okay, so the difference is it's still American money. It's just that the area in California, the taxes are so darn high that you have to get paid more at your job. So therefore, you don't make a lot of money where you're from. But according to the tax laws and the way that things are in Texas, you have California money, which means you have a high taxed money and you come in to a low taxed area, and so you can buy a property because it's cheaper here, in Texas. And so these people, they don't like the high taxes. They don't like all these things. They move over here and they don't like how things are ran, and they don't understand that it's the type of income, the way that they acquire their income is not the same way. And so you start running into certain problems, but
because they got California money, they change laws because it's the people that come over. It's not the people like the middle to low class people that are leaving California. It's the extremely middle class, upper middle class, or richer people that are coming with all their bread. They come over here to Colorado, they buy stuff, cash money, raise everything, and then they get into the government and they're like, well, you guys have too much smog over here, so let's change the laws on catalytic converters. Now you got to pay
bro.
That part is true, Dre. I can't deny that. I really cannot deny that. You're right. But our air quality, it's better. I mean, but I understand your point.
Whose
I
air
totally do,
quality
because
is better?
Texas, for example, you don't have state taxes. You only have federal taxes, and your state is it's a married state. So even if you're not married to your wife, if your wife is on your title or deed, you have to put her. Excuse me. She's not responsible, or he's not responsible for anything to do with your loan, but that person can stop you from modifying your loan. There's a lot of things that it's a benefit, but it can also be a hindrance. So from a work aspect.
Yeah, whose air is good? Whose air are you talking about has good air?
Parts of California.
Washington has good-ish air.
The smoke. I'm not saying.
Well, no, I misunderstood. I think your reception's bad because you're cutting out. You're cutting in and out pretty bad. Well, I'll say this.
See that?
Yeah. So we had to change our catalytic converters to California standard. Imagine why that happened and why they call it California standard.
Yeah, and I'll say this about cities or towns that quote unquote have smog or whatnot. If people in California have, I guess cleaner air than New York, because the competition's about the city. It's not about the country. Nobody's got cleaner air than where I'm at. There ain't no smog over here. It's just nothing but air blowing around over here, just regular fresh air. So I think the competition or whatever is between cities on how much smog companies are letting out. And where I'm from, there's none of that out here. I don't have to check the smog. The only thing I got to check for is pollen. But it's not that bad. But
well, pollen is natural, so
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do about that.
Well, but the point I'm making is that's as bad as it gets. Like if you want to split hairs, right, and be like, well, it's not very clean because there's pollen. It's like, okay, well, all right, my bad. I'll complain about the pollen, and everybody else can complain about smoke, I guess. I don't know.
Bruh, I cannot stand. And then what it does is it creates this whole black market of catalytic converters now. So these guys are running around stealing catalytic converters, and they cost $1,500 to replace, and it's just like it's nonstop. And then The taxes go up. All the taxes, bro. My taxes went up $230,000 this year. Property taxes.
Your property taxes went up what?
$230,000.
Your property
It was,
tax.
yes, his
Yes, bro.
homeowner's insurance increased. It was your homeowner's insurance that increased. You are aware of
No,
that, right? You check
no,
your,
it
is
was
your
my
escrow
property tax.
analysis. Well, okay, so, but property tax, depending on where you reside. So if you live in an area, if you live in a new build area, a new community, so now they are, as you know, as a property owner, you pay for roads, schools, parks, and things of that nature. So if you have any new builds, any new construction, any new fire department, you pay for that. It's in your property
Yeah, no,
taxes.
I live in a farm area. It's the same people that's lived here for 30 plus years, and they decided to raise the property taxes. Everybody in my neighborhood's complaining, and I already went to the assessors, the property tax assessors, and I was like, "You guys are ridiculous. The property's not even worth what you guys are trying to tax me." And they're like, "Sorry, claim denied."
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's a lot of places because the area where I'm at, we have a chat for the road that we live on. Everybody's on that chat, and they've been complaining about property taxes for the past couple of months. So I've been
You're
hearing
a
people
vet,
complaining
though,
about
right?
that.
Troy? You're a vet,
What?
right? You're a VA vet,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah.
So now I'm not trying to get in your personal business, so only you would know this. If you are deemed 100% disabled by the military, then you are tax exempt. You only have to turn in your documents to your property assessor, and you can get your home homesteaded,
Well,
and
that
you won't
yeah,
be
yeah.
eligible.
You're right, but that's not the only way to be tax exempt in Texas. But that is a way. You're right,
Yeah, the
100%.
homestead, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I work for a mortgage company, so I know there are a lot of there are a lot of other things that you can do, but a lot of VA people don't know that. They automatically assume that that there's no feasible way. And then of course if your home is homesteaded, you can get that as part of the homestead. You can do that, and then depending on the age of anyone, you should look into that because they do
Well,
have
I don't.
tax breaks.
Yeah, no, I understand. I don't pay taxes on my property, but the way going about it is just different for everybody.
Mm,
So,
true.
but no, uh, but no, I'm glad you're telling people that because one of my buddies that got severely injured in Iraq by a roadside bomb, he didn't know about that, and I had to help him understand that he has benefits that he doesn't know of, and so I went out of my way and helped him out with that. But they're in Texas. You got to understand that every state's different. In taxes, there's many ways to handle that, but in every state, the way that you're talking about, that's relevant in a lot of states, and there are some states that doesn't do it like they don't. You're not tax free like 100%. You just pay like a percentage or something. It's just based on every state, but
That is true. You would
yeah.
pay a lesser percentage. Some states are zero, and some states you can pay up to a 5%. But also, people need to look at their homeowners insurance as well too. The homeowners insurance, due to the laws that have been implemented, have increased homeowners insurance by leaps and bounds. There are borrowers that I know that their homeowners insurance at one point in time, we were allocating out $40. Now we have to allocate $230 for every month. So their homeowners insurance increased by leaps and bounds. That made their mortgage payment go increase by an enormous amount of
Well, I
money, and they
bet.
can't afford the home.
Yeah. 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 I'll say one day I'll probably have you and I don't know if Dre knows anyone. I'm sure he does. But my cousin, we'll probably bring up probably 3 or 4 of y'all up here and kind of have a session over people buying homes or selling homes. I don't see anything right here. Pretty soon we're going to do Benny. Benny is going to we're going to talk about nutrition and exercise, health, fitness, and I got a couple other people I may bring up along with Benny, but all those things are, hey, it's part of the world. We live in this world, so some of the things got to be understood or whatnot. But, Bill, what's going on, man? Benny Ace. Who's Benny Ace?
Not much, brother. Not much. Everything good, man. Got the
Wolf,
cat ready.
man. What's up, Wolf? Long time no see, man.
What's going on, guys? God bless you.
What's the dealio?
Chilling like a villain, bro.
Like a villain? Like Bob Dylan?
Word.
I'm there. Hello.
Hey, Cry Wolf, let me ask you a
What's
question,
up, Benny?
bro.
Oh.
I'm good. How about you?
Can you hear me, Cry?
Yeah, go ahead.
How many people did God have to find righteous in Sodom and Gomorrah to save the whole city?
10.
What's
1.
your answer, Cry?
1.
All right, so the question is, this is the question. What did Abraham, from the number 50, what did Abraham whittle God down to? What number did he whittle him down to? That's the question.
It was 10.
And the only reason why we're discussing it today is because I couldn't get one person to come to agreement with what the number was. So I was like, oh man, all right, we'll talk about it tomorrow then. So what's the number? Okay, hey, and if you give a number, you need to give a verse. Hold on a second. If you give a number, you need to give a verse. You need to give a scripture. Let me see. Let's see. Daniel said 5. All right, Daniel, so you got to put a verse with that. If you put a number, put a verse. Put a
Please
verse.
mute who's ever in a box. Please mute because they're not talking.
And I got my verse. 1.
Okay.
One person.
Okay.
For God so
Okay.
loved
Hey,
the world that he gave
hold on
his
a
only
second.
begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him
Hold on,
should not
Jess.
perish but have everlasting life. He put everybody in one person.
Hey, Benny, can you mute your mic, Benny, please? Benny Ace.
I could handle thank you, because I could handle on the other side.
No, that's what it is. Yeah, it was Benny. I don't know. He's messing with something. I couldn't figure out what it was either until I looked at my screen, and I don't know, maybe he's typing or working or something. I don't know. Okay, well, since Jess wanted to go first, okay, Jess, do you understand the question?
Yes, I understand the question.
Okay, hold on. I need you to repeat the question to me, ma'am. What's the question?
The question was, how many people? No, you repeat it.
Because I don't want anyone to answer this question and they claim they understand the question, and the problem is you're not understanding. I don't mean you, but figuratively, you're not understanding the question. I did not say how many Ninja Turtles is with Master Splinter. That's not the question. I didn't ask that. I said when the Now that would have been a proper answer, and I can give you a verse for that. Anyway, but the question is, because we know that Abraham starts off with 50. He said, if there's 50, will you destroy it? And he whittles the number down. He whittles. If you don't know what that word is, what is the lowest number? What is the lowest number that
50.
Abraham got God to?
It was 50. If you're going to ask the question that way, then the number would have been 50 because he started with 50. The problem was that Abraham whittled it down.
Hold on, Jess, hold on, Jess. I did not say what did it start off with. I said, what did Abraham whittle him down to? If you don't know what the word whittle means, then that's the issue. The issues.
Whittle was it's like when you go to a flea market and they tell you $20 and you sit there and you.
All right, fine. Okay, hold on. All right, time out. Fine. Okay, fine. Okay. We'll say bargain.
Bargain. That's the word I'm looking for.
How low? Hold on. Say how low did Abraham? How low was he able to bargain with God of the number of people? How low? What was the lowest that he bargained with God? That's the question. So what's the answer, Jess? Give me verse.
Well,
give me a Bible.
The verse we read yesterday that told us the last number.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you. No. Hey, Jess, if you don't want to answer it, just say pass and we'll go to someone else.
It's I have to find the verse now. We read it yesterday.
All right, so who's next? Who's going?
Who's next? Go to them.
Who's next?
The black letters on the white pages says 10.
Okay, so there's one answer, 10. Flip, what you got? Or you can say pass. Okay. Oh, Flip said 10. Okay, guys, if you put a number, I need a verse.
All right, 1832. Genesis 1832. Yeah.
Okay, so Dre and Flip are in agreement. Who's next? Who's going next?
I'm gonna say one. God would have saved it if there was one person.
Jess, this is not I'm gonna say. This is a number with a verse.
Well, then it has to be 10. It has to be 10 because the verse says 10. I'm not gonna go.
Okay, so Jess is saying 10. Anybody's going?
It's 1, but I cannot find the address. What we did yesterday, it does say 10, but I know it's 1. But
okay. This is what we'll say. If you cannot find the verse, then you can't give a number because you don't have a verse. So that means it misunderstood. She's in limbo right now, and she is looking for a savior.
Genesis 1832, sir. My bad. Go ahead, disciple.
I'm going to go with 1. My verse is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
I already said that. No. I already said that in the beginning.
But you didn't have a verse. I
even quoted it. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, for whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
Well, hold on, guys. If we're doing I thought we were doing black letters on white pages. If you do that,
exactly,
then I'm
but
going to say
he's talking
1
about
because he left 99 to save 1. He left 99 to save 1, so I can go there with that.
The question is real simple. The question is, we know that it started with 50. The question is, I'm talking about Abraham. Abraham is not in the New Testament. Abraham. The question is
20.
The question is, how far did Abraham whittle God down? How far did he bargain it? The number started with 50. And what is the lowest? Is the answer 45? Is it 35? What's
20.
the answer that he? Okay, who's that?
Me, Bill.
Bill.
Okay, Bill. If you're gonna bring a number, you got to bring a verse. What verse are you using?
I believe Genesis 18:32.
Okay, read it.
Okay, let me get it.
Bro, Bill, you got that from Blue. You're cheating.
Who said he was right?
Genesis 18:32 says 10.
I just want to hear him read it. I just want to hear what he's saying. Bruh.
No, Bill, that's the same verse me and
oh my God, Jess, let him read it.
He may not comprehend it the same. He may not comprehend it the same way you do, Jess. Let him read it. Let him come up with it.
Let him read it. Just let him read it. It's okay.
15 might mean 20 to him. I don't know.
As Bill is looking for this, after he's done, can we go to the
you can't hear me?
Rachel
I've been singing.
No, bro, we can't hear words.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll
hold on.
All right, Bill.
I know why it is. It's my. You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up? What's the answer?
1831.
Okay, read it.
Okay, hold on. Oh my God.
Jesus only. The question is not how many were saved. That's not the question.
No. Abraham said, 31. He said, "Behold, I have taken upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there." He answered, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again, but this once. Suppose I see. I didn't continue reading.
Oh,
But then he said, okay, sorry,
Ding,
my bad.
ding, ding. Bye-bye.
Ceviche. You didn't
So
read the whole
so
thing.
so Bill, what's your final answer? Bill, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 10.
I got
10.
it. It's actually 28. The verse is 28. Suppose there were 5 less than the 50. So anything 5 or less, man, we were looking at it the wrong
Jess,
way.
what are you talking about?
In
Jesse,
1828, it says, suppose there were 5 less
from
than the
50. 5
50.
less from
So it's
50.
5
So
or
that's
less. He
45.
would have saved it.
Oh, Lord
No.
Jesus. All right, I'm muting.
Oh, you know what? You guys are just going to drive me to madness.
What? All right. Hold on. Jess, what translation Bible are you reading? Jess?
The newer version of the old King James.
All right, somebody read that in the NIV. Does somebody got the NIV?
The newer version of the old King James.
Yeah, I can pull it up in NIV. I'm on my computer, so I can pull it up.
I'm just curious on how the NIV says it. If not, we'll go to the Amplified.
You want me to read the International Children's Bible?
Fine. Yeah, read that. Fine.
That might be even better. Let's see what it says. All right, so when we scroll down, what verse is that? 30:28. He says, "What if there were only 45 people in the city? Would you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people, 5 good people?"
That's 28?
Yes.
Well, the NIV says, suppose there were 5 less than the 40 righteous.
5 less
Jess,
of 50.
what does 5 less of 50 mean, Jess?
It's less
5 less. 5 less. 5 less than 50. 5 less.
Is 45.
Yeah, 45,
Right,
not 5.
Let me read this. Let me read this whole thing in the Children's Bible just for a second, okay?
Oh,
So
you know what? I can take
bear
out my
with me.
Catholic Children Bible. I
Bear
have to.
with me.
Jess, this is for everybody. This is not just for you. For everybody.
Bear with me.
It's been 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes, and we still can't come into agreement on the answer.
Verse 29. Verse 20.
Just give us the answer, man.
Hey, listen,
No, absolutely not. The answer is right there. The answer is right there.
We're just
I'm gonna read it. Are you ready?
Read it.
Give me a second, guys. Just mute for a second. Here we go. It says, "Again, Abraham said to the Lord, if you only find 40 good people there, will you destroy the city? The Lord said, if I find 40 good people, I will not destroy the city. Then Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me. Let me ask you this. If you find only 30 good people in the city, will you destroy it? And the Lord said, if I find 30 good people there, I will not destroy the city. Then Abraham said, if I am brave to speak to the Lord, but what if there's only 20 good people in the city? And the Lord said, if I find 20 good people in there, I will not destroy the city. Then Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me. Let me bother you one last time. What if you find 10 good people there? And the Lord said, if I find 10 good people there, I will not destroy it. When the Lord finished speaking to Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Guys, what's the comprehension of the math question?
All right, hold on. I got to hold on. If you're going to put a number, you need to put a verse to go along with the number. JLH Films. What verse are you using to back up? What verse are you using?
He just read the last one.
I can't find the verse. Then where are you getting the number from, bro? Where are you getting the number 1 from if you can't read it? Where's it coming from? So it looks like I've read it before. You've read it before? Uh-huh. Where? Show me. Prove it. Can't prove it. Sigh. Yes, big sigh.
All right, what's the answer?
What are we talking about this morning?
Somebody give Mac the question. See if Mac gets it.
Matt.
Man, Max been in the comments the whole time, bro.
Yeah,
Oh, he
Matt.
has?
Has he?
Bro, I just
Yeah,
got here like 2 minutes ago when Bill was trying to read a verse when he was away
you
from
talked
the
about
app.
you talked about the
Matt,
IRS though.
basically, the question is, how many people did God say he would save to Abraham out of the 50, out of the land of Sodom and Gomorrah?
It
No.
went
Eight.
all the way. It went all the way down to 10. It stopped at 10.
Now, can I say something? Does it have to be a number? Could it be a word?
The answer is a number.
Because then I would say the amount of
Hey,
righteous
Dre.
people that were considered there. Because he says here, and Abraham came near and said, would you also destroy righteous with the wicked? Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city, would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? So shouldn't we be looking at the contents, which is righteous, who was righteous versus the number of people? Because if there was 100 righteous people, he would have saved it. If there was one
If it was
righteous
one
person, he
righteous
would have
person, he
saved
would have
it.
Well,
saved it. Yeah.
Because the
Lot
word is
Lot was
righteous. He
actually
was
the only.
looking, wait a minute, let me finish, guys. He was looking for one person that was righteous. I think that the reason he saved the four that he did was because of Abraham, in consideration of the righteousness of Abraham, not theirs.
A lateral
He
blessing.
never, he, he never found 10.
He
That's the
never
first
found
point.
any
You
because he
got
He
to
was
never
looking
look
for
found
though.
10.
righteous.
No, you got to look at what it says about Lot when they see Lot when the two men come to Lot, right? It tells you that Lot wasn't changed by the city. And because not only Abraham, but because of Lot in righteous standing, just like in the story of Moses, it was because of Moses was in righteous. I mean, Noah was in righteous standing
Um.
with God that went to his family. So the same for Lot.
All all
Lot
right,
was.
guys. I'm gonna say one, and it's Jeremiah 5:1. You heard me, try.
But that's
Go
outside
ahead,
the
read it.
story.
Read it.
That is outside the story.
That's true. He already stated that the criteria was we had to stay within the story.
He didn't say
Somebody
that. He
else
just
brought
said
New
he said
Testament and he
he
said
said
it's
put a
not.
scripture to it. He didn't say it had to be there. Well, it says Jeremiah 5:1 in the King James says, "Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see and know, and seek the broad thereof. If you can find a man, if there is any that can execute his judgment, that seeketh truth, I will pardon it." And then he
That's
also
in
talks about
Jerusalem.
he.
That's in
Look,
Jerusalem.
excuse me, sir. I'm still speaking. And he also talks about constantly throughout the Old Testament if he can find one man, but he can never find a
He
man.
never finds
So
a
it's all.
righteous man.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead, Jesse. You guys.
I'm agreeing with you. Settle down, Muzzy.
Yeah, but he's saying while he's reading, you're interrupting him. He can't read.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. That was
It's all
rude of
right.
me.
It's okay.
It's not. It's wrong. It's wrong.
Tabby,
It's not okay.
Tabby said, I switch it from 5 to 0 since he destroyed the city.
It's one. It's one. And there's several scriptures to back up the one man. Even when we've been talking about the shadows forever about
Okay,
God.
it's one what? What are you saying one is? One is what?
One is
There's
the
only one
number.
that. There's only one that can redeem us.
One at a
How in
time.
the world, hold on a second, how in the world did we go from Abraham whittling down to redemption?
Because
I
this
didn't
is a
say
shadow
redemption.
of Jesus
That
Christ.
was Jesse.
Because this is a shadow of Jesus Christ. Because everything in the Old Testament is a shadow. If you don't see Jesus in the Old Testament, you can't see him in the New Testament. Those are your words.
Yeah, that's right. But what does that have
Dre,
to do with Abraham whittling down
Hey,
Dre,
I
a
have to
number?
answer to
I'm
everybody who is out
trying.
there.
Dre.
I'm stuck.
Could,
Hey,
Yeah.
could I?
the answer is
Could I?
in Romans Chapter 3, verse 10.
Okay,
There
well,
is
read
none
it.
righteous, no, not one.
Okay, but that's not the end. That's not the question,
Okay, could I reply to
Oh,
Dre?
bruh.
bro. That's not
Could
the.
I?
Hold on,
Dre, you
hold on,
finish? You finished
hold on a
reading?
second. Hold on, Flip. What's the
The
question
Lord is
here?
speaking.
What's the
So the
question?
question is, when Abraham was talking to God about saving Sodom and Gomorrah and he whittled down the numbers, what number did he whittle
Hold
down
on, hold
to?
on. What? Hold on, hold on. What numbers? What did the numbers start off with?
It starts off with 50 and then
50.
50
Okay,
minus
so the
5.
question is not, is there anyone righteous in the Bible? That's not the question. The question is, how far did Abraham whittle the number down? How far did he bargain? In about 2 minutes, we're going to be done with this, and you're all going to be kicking yourselves in the butt.
So
Everybody,
he
because
whittled
it's
down to
ridiculous.
40.
Could,
50 minus 40 equals 10.
okay, could I reply to Dre?
Okay, all right, hold on. Flip, so what's your answer?
My answer is 40.
Give me a scripture.
Genesis 18:32, where he gets down to 10. So he started off with 50. So 50 minus 10 is 40.
Oh, my Lord. Y'all about
Oh
to
my
drive me
Lord,
off.
where'd you
Y'all
get
about to
that
jump off this
from?
that
thing.
is
Okay,
wild,
okay,
Flip.
Hey, but
yeah,
It
yeah.
is
40
10,
is
but
the
I don't know
number
how
of
you got
Get
to
trials
the
10.
testing.
Now you
get
went
So
the
off to
get the
numerology.
baby
What
tie.
is this?
Could I reply to Dre, please?
Yeah, Bill, my bad. Go ahead.
Thank you. Now, Dre, when you went to Jeremiah, he specifically said Jerusalem. It wasn't speaking about Abraham because it's how many numbers, how up to what number did Abraham dwindle God down to? And then Jeremiah is speaking specifically about Jerusalem. That's why I was saying that's not in.
Yeah, so
Can I get a
I know
second?
that Abraham dwindled them down to 10, but the reality is God would have saved the city for one. That's my answer.
No, he saved them for less than 10 because look who came out of the city.
He did not save the city; he destroyed the city.
I
It
know,
didn't
but
say how many
who
people
did
were
he
saved.
save
It
from
said
the city? He
no, no,
saved
no,
less than
no, no,
10.
no, 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 no. Abraham said to not destroy the city, not to save people. He said, "Would you not destroy the city for such and such and such and such?" God
Right,
still
correct,
destroyed
correct.
Sodom and Gomorrah, regardless, because
Yeah,
Right,
he
so
said,
correct,
"I did
correct,
not want."
so
correct.
Abraham is hold on. So Abraham is whittling the number down. He's like, okay, what if there's 50? The whole point of this is Abraham is saying if there's at least this many people, righteous people there, would you not destroy it? And God's like, yes, if there's 50 righteous people there, I will not destroy it. So let's not lose context. This is simple, right? So Abraham says, okay, well, what if there's this many? Okay, well, what if there's this many? And he keeps bargaining, and the number gets smaller and smaller. What is the furthest that Abraham gets
10,
God
bro.
to agree with?
10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
The final answer, 10.
I'm not sure where in the world people are getting 1, 0, 5. I mean, I saw on there yesterday. I was like, 12? What?
They gotta call a friend, bro. They gotta call a friend.
This is what I'm talking about. Like this is how easy it is to get in a debate argument over once saved, always saved, water baptism. It's because everybody is hearing something completely different. It don't matter how many times I ask the question, everybody's hearing a different question. This is how we know that the Bible hasn't been changed, because the only way to see what to change is you have to spiritually see it. And a carnal minded person does not spiritually see what they're supposed to be seeing. They see black letters on a white page and they think they're being slick and try to change a part of a story. But what they think they're changing is nothing. They're not changing nothing. This is why Islamic believers say, your book's been changed 500 times. And I can't even hold my breath long enough to even laugh any further, because they don't understand that they trust in man. That's why their whole, like the way their whole system is built is about who passed on what to who. It's all based on man's works. It's all based on who we didn't forget to sign off on this book, to go to this man's book, and even through their hard effort, there's still mistakes. And while they're trying to sit here and say that their book is pure, even your physical book that you have is not pure, because men are not perfect, so it's not pure. The only thing that's pure is the spirit, and those letters and words, you cannot read them. Period. The end. So God does not look at this. Look at this catastrophe for the past 20 minutes. No, there's like two people that agree on one thing, three that agree on something different, and it's very simple. The answer is right there in front of the face, and that's why I kept saying the question over and over. The question was simple: what number did Abraham? How far was he able to bargain with God? The answer is 10. That's the answer. That's how far he was able to whittle God down. I just couldn't believe how many different answers I was getting yesterday. Now if I would have said spiritually, why is it the number 10? What would the answer be? Why is it? Is it just coincidence? It's the number 10? Is that a coincidence? Anybody?
We broke the numbers down with Flip one time.
No, it's not a coincidence. The number 10 is the number of champions. So he would have found one champion.
Well, it's a number of judgment, actually. The 10 Commandments, the 10 times that Pharaoh hardened his heart, and then God hardened Pharaoh's heart. So the 10 laws, so 10 is actually the number of judgment in the Bible, and it's not a coincidence that it ends with the number 10. And we all know the story, but
it starts with the number 5. 50.
It starts with the number 5. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So Misunderstood was asking some questions about Rachel and Leah yesterday, and I told her to make sure she came up so I can get to. She had a question about that, and if we have to go over the story, then we'll just go over the story. No big deal. But what was your question that you were asking about that yesterday? Well,
I'm sorry. I'm over here talking. I apologize. No. I was talking. I thought I unmuted. I apologize. Okay, so based on the conversation that we were having yesterday in regards to men always looking at the outer appearance of us as an individual and not looking at the heart. And so with that being said, it gave me the thought about Leah. Hold on, my grandbaby just woke up. I do apologize.
Oh, you're good.
So yes, my question was this. Based off of that and what I don't think Rachel, she received is the lateral blessing, because Leah, because she was never satisfied. She always wanted more. And even though Leah wasn't his first choice, she wasn't even a choice, but her heart was pure when it came down to serving her husband and being who she was supposed to be. But and that's how man looks at us. Men won't go after a woman's heart, or a woman won't go after a man's heart. They go after the outer appearance. And when you go after the outer appearance, that person's heart could be hardened. And then you're left with someone who was not righteous.
Yeah. So that,
correct?
Well, so that part is true, right? It's true that you can say, wow, this person is beautiful, and then they're a complete monster, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes,
right?
Because the other person is...
Okay, so yeah, look, that is true in this world, right? And so that's why the Bible is written by using people, because we can see some sort of truth there. But let me ask you this. What is the whole point of the story of Rachel and Leah being shared to us? What's the whole purpose, the whole point, the foundation of this story? Is it to teach us that people can be pretty on the outside and ugly in the middle?
I believe so. but it's more,
Okay.
it's more to that, Trot. And I know once you start speaking, I'll be able to articulate it better.
Yeah.
But the
So let
fact,
me.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But it's just the part about when he realized about her heart, and how Rachel was so vindictive and ungrateful about a lot of things, and she receives these blessings of these sons. Granted, Leah had her sons too, but it was the lateral blessing that she had these children that she was the parent of, and they were outside of her tomb. But I'll go into the other question because I had two-part
Well,
question to
no,
that.
you're good. You're good. Let me say something real quick. Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So the story of Noah, right, where he
Yes.
builds a big boat and his family's. What's the foundation of that story? Is it just to let us know that Noah built a big boat, and what do we learn from that? That we need to build big boats when it rains? Is that what we're supposed to learn from that story?
No, we are supposed to be in the will of God.
So let me tell you this. Every story is about the will of God. Every story, the foundation of the story is Christ. That's the foundation. And everything above that is built upon the foundation of who Christ is. So even though it looks like that we're supposed to learn physical things from all these stories, that is not the truth. That is not the purpose of the Bible. The purpose of the Bible is not to point out how to learn things in this world. That's not the purpose of the Bible. The whole purpose of the Bible is because it can test of Christ. That is the purpose of the Bible. And through Christ is how we learn how to live our life, not the other way around. Not looking at the physical story and saying, how do I take that story and apply it to myself? That is what atheists who don't even believe in God, motivational speakers, that's what they do. And we are not of this world. We are not supposed to read the Bible like the people that are in this world. So the whole purpose of this story, and we can go over the whole thing, it don't matter to me. The whole purpose of this, matter of fact, let's go over it and let's look at how Jesus wrote this story, and let's pay attention to Jesus in the story rather than the physical people. The physical people were real people that were living their lives. But that's why Jesus said, and he said it many times, he said, you read the scripture searching for life. Talking about the scribes and the Pharisees and everybody in this world trying to figure out how to live a better life here. And he says, but they can test of me. And people keep missing it. The whole point of any of these things being written down by a man is because his heart knew, I have to write this down. He knew, but it wasn't for the way it's been taught for a very long time. That was not the purpose. The purpose is because they can test of Christ, period, the end. So whenever any of these stories are talked about, and the person that's talking about the story is not talking about Christ, they missed the whole point of the story. So let's go to the story. Let's go to Jacob. Dre, can you get there where Jacob is, where he runs away from home because of him and Esau, and he comes to the land there
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
Laban?
give me a second.
Yeah.
I think it's in, I know it's in Genesis, right?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Talking about Genesis 27.
That sounds right.
I'll tell you right now. 25 through 20. Yeah, 27. 27 will do. Yep.
Okay,
Genesis
so 20. I
27.
think that's Esau, though, isn't it? Hold on.
And it came to pass to Isaac, yada, 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 yada. And then Jacob. That's when he got
21.
Genesis
stole the
24:10.
blessing.
Yeah, that's Jacob.
27,
That's Jacob.
41.
41.
27, 41 Genesis.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing where if the father blessed him. That sounds about right there. And these words, his elder brother, yeah, he's going to unalive him. Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and
It says right there, 43. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice and raise up and flee to Laban, my brother in Haran.
okay, so
43.
flee to Laban, my brother to Haran. Yeah, right. All right, so let's get to where he's getting there or going there. It's the way Jacob. I just don't remember exactly where it's at.
When he arrives at Laban, is that what you're trying to find?
Yeah, where he's yeah, and we can probably read a few verses right before he gets there, or they start talking about him being there.
All right, so he dreamed the ladder.
Okay, hey, it might be 29.
Y'all check flip 619. Might
I
be
got a phone
flip
call.
619.
Might be flip 19. Philippians 19.
Yeah, thou shalt obey the voice of Flip, man. Read it.
Yeah, read it. I think that's it. I think Dre got a phone call. Just give me a minute.
Well, what are you looking for? What story?
Yeah, well, no, I think I found it. I'm pretty sure it's Genesis 29. Yeah, we're going to probably start there because it starts off, then Jacob went on his journey. Remember, Jacob was told to go to Laban, right? A family member.
Yep.
Right? So it says he went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east, and he looked, and behold, a well in the field. So this is where he enters the land. Y'all can have a discussion real quick about something, but we're going to Flip, do you want to, you're not right now, but here in a minute, do you want to start reading that? Can you or no?
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay, I'll be back. Just give me a second. I need to run outside real quick. But
I can't do today. I'm getting ready.
We're gonna start when I get back. We'll start at Genesis chapter 29, verse 1, so we can look at the story of Jacob, Laban, Rachel, and Leah, so we can see what we're supposed to be seeing, what Christ wants us to be seeing. Right? This is not trying to teach you not to kiss your cousin. That's not what this is about. It is a real story. These are real people. These things happen. But your heart is supposed to be seeing what Christ wants you to see. That's why Christ always said, for those that have ears to hear, let them hear. He wasn't talking about the paddles on the side of your head. Okay? I'll be right back. Just give me a second.
Just got a phone call. It was Darius Jackson was telling me how bogus Keke Palmer was for wearing that outfit.
Oh, now you know that's a good topic on the other side.
I knew you was gonna jump on.
You know I was, cause Dre, you know what, Dre? I've sent you lives. I know you probably don't.
I went in it. No,
You
I
did?
went in it.
Okay.
That's how I saw. It was one brother. I think his name was Ty.
Yes,
Ty or Tyrone. And
Ty.
I mean, listen. How do you see that? Do you agree with her? Do you think that's bogus?
What's the topic? I'm sorry, I
I
just
think
dropped in.
Oh, okay. Hold on,
All
Sister
right,
Jess.
you ain't gonna
No,
know about
the
this
one
one.
that
Trust me.
Dre. No, but what's the topic that you mentioned? I'm just curious, so I know what you guys are talking about.
Keke Palmer. Go ahead, misunderstood.
Okay, so I think her boyfriend, who's not even her husband, okay, he was jealous of the fact because understand, Dre, you being a married man, you know what your wife buys. You see it as soon as she puts it on, because we show it off to our husband, to our man. You knew what I was going to wear when I left the house. You knew I was going to go see a famous music artist. You knew I had VIP seating. You knew that there was a 90% possibility that he may come up to me and sing to the VIP group. How dare you be upset? How dare you?
I think it boils down to well, first of all, if my wife ever wore that outfit, I wouldn't have married her. Just to be honest with you, I would have been like, oh heck no!
No, of
Like if
course,
you
I
feel
understand
that
that.
comfortable showing you, it's not like you're going to the beach or anything. Like nah, bro. But anyways, the thing about it was the body. It was the body language for me. I was like, I think I would have been upset too. Like, it's cool. Like, did you see when I think it's Sweetie went to an Usher concert and he
Yes,
serenaded
yes,
her too, but she was like, she was looking at him like you could tell she was starstruck. It is Usher, but she wasn't
right,
sitting there like turning around and making tongue faces and like she wasn't doing all that, what I mean? But she was getting serenaded. Like I was like, okay, that's and she doesn't even have. I don't think she even has a man. And Kiki Palmer know good and daggone well. And the way she came, the way he hugged her, the way they almost like touched lips. If you look at it, it's like, oh nah, bro. I would have been like, nah, that's out of line, dog.
right.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
so
what are you
that
talking
part I
about?
understand. That part I understand. But her little dancing, it wasn't all of that. We've seen more on other videos than her little, trying to do the worm, quote unquote, old school term. That was
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
What are
yeah.
we talking about?
I was plowing with Misunderstood's
Gossip.
heifer because I knew she was gonna jump on this subject while you were gone, but it's about Kiki Palmer, bro. You probably don't even know who Kiki Palmer is, bro. So
Kiki
I ain't
Palmer.
I'm not even
No,
gonna hold
I
you,
mean
bro, because you're not gonna know
we
who
got
that
a
is.
town near Dallas called Palmer.
Yeah, I know. Her
Who's
daddy
Kiki
owns it, bro.
Palmer?
Her daddy owns Palmer, Texas.
Ah, well then who is she?
She's Kiki.
Yeah, who's that? What does she do for a living?
She's a famous artist. I'm
She's kicky. She's kinky. She's
She's a
kinky.
painter. She's a
Nah,
painter.
she's an actor, artist, musician.
Oh,
She's everything, bro.
oh, everything. All right.
As far as artistic is concerned, she's pretty
Oh,
good at
okay,
that whole.
artist stuff. Okay, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Nah, I'm
I
looking at the video right now, Misunderstood. The way they on each other, nah, bro. That's OC right there, bro. I ain't going, bro, like they say in Milwaukee. I
Oh,
ain't
y'all
going,
talking
but
about
bro.
y'all
but
talking about a soap opera.
you're talking
Oh,
about
y'all
people
talking
that are not
about.
even serving God, though. They're
Yeah, but that's
you're
soap
either
opera
children
stuff.
of God or children of Satan. Children of
Soap
Oh,
opera
look
Satan
at
stuff.
look
means,
at Miss
Oh,
Judgmental over
wow.
here. Look at
what
Miss
It
do you
just
Judgmental
went,
over
I'm not
here.
it
judging
just went
anybody.
left.
I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying that we shouldn't be surprised.
That's
Yeah, no, that
Bible.
part's true. That part's true too, though. But whatever. Anyway,
Thank you,
all
Troy.
right. Well,
Thank you for agreeing
y'all
with
can
me. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Y'all can finish a soap opera
Now,
conversation after we're done talking about Rachel. And hey, hey, hey! Those shows are like Maria, Maria, ¿por qué? It's like, oh my
¿Por
lord, about
qué?
4 hours
¿Por
of
qué
that,
me
bro. Just
lloras?
¿por
¿Por
first
qué
of
me
qué,
all,
lloras?
Maria?
first
bro.
of
María la
all, first of
Llorosita.
all,
Bro, you wanna,
first of all, this
bro,
is
you
a
wanna
real life
trouble you,
situation. It's not a soap
It was
opera.
real life,
Okay,
okay? It was
Troy.
it's not
famous
a soap
people that
Oh,
people
opera.
don't
oh,
know.
hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me get this. Let me get this straight. So if it's real life, it's not a soap opera.
You want, you wanna
It's
talk
a
about your
reality
Spanish? Watch my
show.
You
Rivera.
guys
Hey,
trip me out.
Chad, it's a
You
reality
guys trip me
show.
out,
It's
man.
a reality
Okay,
A
show.
reality
let's
show
go.
is
It's
a
not a
soap
reality
opera.
show.
I
It's a
know.
famous
I'm
person.
agreeing.
Okay,
I'm agree with
try,
you.
baby. Come on. Let's just get back to the lesson because everything's getting taken out of context. Dre, we can just deem about the conversation. That's it.
Ooh, I feel
Sounds
somebody
good.
getting in their belly. Woo.
Well, let me say I'll make this one comment and I'll just leave it alone. Look. Soap operas are based of things that happen in real life. So
Mighty Maria.
regardless if the person is real, not real, it's all about getting in your emotions and feelings. It is still a soap opera regardless. Now, I will say this. That goes in different avenues, different ways of life, and everybody has their own type of soap opera just in different ways. Um,
We got him here on
so
TikTok.
well, I mean, I know
Let's sing
people
this song
that
from this guy, Maria, Maria.
But I know people that sit in the middle of their house. I've met these people. They sit in the middle of their house and they drink it doesn't matter what the beverage is as long as it has liquor in it, and they listen very loudly to I've seen all the types. but they listen to their favorite music and it's loud, and they're just sitting in a chair, sucking on their liquor bottles or whatever, just kind of soothing, in their feelings while they're listening. That is still a soap opera behavior. Okay, so again, whatever it is that tickles your fancy when it comes to soap operas, everybody has their own way of doing it, and the truth is, everybody, and when I say everybody, I'm using English, everybody would be better off without any of it, okay? But we all learn our own way, and we all move away from soap opera activities, our own speed and our own way. But, so.
So you mean you never watched Dallas, bro?
That's what that means. I've never watched Dallas. But notice what I said. No, make it real clear what I said. Everybody, before they became saved, everybody, and I'm speaking English, and the word everybody, it includes everybody. There was a type of like soap opera, either an event. I don't care if it's a hobby. I don't care what it is. Everybody started away from God, right? So we came to God, and those things should start minimizing. But for some people, they don't. They stay just as strong as they were, and everybody has their own walk with the Lord. Everybody has their own choice, and like I said, for one person, it's drinking liquor in the middle of their living room, blaring music for 5, 6, 10 hours straight because they don't got to go to work that whole day. And for other people, it's looking at a TV screen. So, people come from different walks of life. And I've said this many times. I went to Ireland, and I was a lot younger, of course. I was very legalistic. And, I called my pops and said, hey, all these people going to hell. They're serving beer and, over here at these churches. But I'm in a completely different country. So what looks 100% sinful to one man looks like right at home for another. And so everybody's walks of life is different. But it is true that, those things should become more minimal, and your walk through Christ should become a lot bigger. Just like John the Baptist said, I have to decrease so he can increase. And it's the same with us here today. The flesh part of you has to at some point start decreasing so the Christ in you can increase. And it can't happen when we're kind of hooked on. Now, I'm using the word hooked because everybody knows where they are with their little own personal soap operas. But there are some people that are hooked to them, and other people, they're little by little, those things are dying off. But, we don't go around pointing the finger because somebody still watches, 30 minutes to an hour more of TV than you do. And it's like, oh, well, you watch an hour of those soap operas, more than I do. How dare thee? And, you just kind of get in a spot where, it's it don't make any sense to be that way. But let me see. Let me get to Flip.
It
Where
wasn't
you
in
at,
my
buddy?
belly. I just wanted to say that. That's it. I wasn't in my belly.
Oh, don't worry about that. That's just something we say here to pick on each other. It's no big deal.
I know, hon, but I wanted to say that. That's all.
It's all good. All right, so Flip, we're gonna read.
All right.
Let's see, Genesis 29, sir.
All of it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So 29 declares the word of the Lord. So Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field, and behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, my brethren, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran. Then he said to them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor. And they said, we know him. And he said to them, is he well? And they said, he is well. And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. And he said, look, it is still high day. It is not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go feed them. But they said, we cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. Now while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. Wow. And
Okay.
it
All
came to
right. So let me say this. All right. So let me say this. So what is some like should be jumping out in front of your face? Some sort of similarity of something happening here. Anybody?
She was a shepherd of the sheep.
She was wisdom gathering water, like we read.
Before the shepherd, before Rachel showed up.
The stone.
The well in the
Stone
field.
covering the living water.
Yeah, and it says, and we can't, and the sheep representing what?
People that need a drink.
Okay, so sheep representing the people, and the people cannot drink the water until what?
Till the
Stone
stone
is
is
removed.
Right, so Christ became unalived, and the living water was given before or after the stone was removed to the sheep.
after. Well,
Right. Okay. So, so what we see, this story is a real story about real people. But I'm telling you the truth that what we are supposed to be getting out from this is the gospel, and it's already happening right here. So when our carnal mind is focused on the carnal story, then that means that maybe you're not as familiar with the word, talking about the black letters on the white page, you're not as familiar with the word as you think. You need to get to the point that you are so familiar with the stories in this Bible that the similarities of everything that's taken place, you'd have to lie to yourself not to see it. Like you would literally have to say, no, that's not true. And you'd have to do it every day, all day. You'd have to do it to every story, every sentence. You could take every book out of here and just have one book, right? We only have 66 in here, and they're like, oh, well, there's actually 67. Oh, there's 70. No, there's actually 81. I don't care. You take one of those books, just one, and the gospel is going to be everywhere in there. Because this whole thing is about Christ. It is not about learning how to build boats. It's not learning on how to be a shepherd, with sheep, physical sheep. Jesus told Peter, feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. Do you love me? Feed my sheep. So already we see a well. Christ said, believers in me, out of their bellies will flow rivers of living water. So we see water that's used to feed sheep. But in order to do so, you have to roll away the stone. Now, in real life, yes, I get it. Well, no, duh. If the stone's there, you can't feed the sheep. I get it. I know. But what I'm trying to tell you is both stories are true. That's what I'm saying. They're both true. It's true physically that if you don't move the darn stone out the way, you can't feed the physical sheep. No, duh. A kindergartner can figure that out. But we are supposed to be growing spiritually as well. So your spiritual eyes should be able to pick up that there is living water that's given to the sheep, and that's talking about the word given to us, people. Both of them are true. They're both true. Mm-hmm. So you have some people, they fight for the carnal. Then you got these other weird people, they fight for the spiritual and throw the carnal out. They're both true. Not one over the other. Now spiritually, the Spirit spoke everything into existence, not the other way around. This physical world did not speak God into existence. So in that way, of course, the spiritual overrides the carnal. In that way, yes. But as far as the Bible is concerned, we're first carnal, before we became saved. And this Bible is written to carnality because that's where we start. You have to start somewhere. It's just like your child going to kindergarten. You don't put them in 12th grade first. You put them in kindergarten so they can start somewhere and start growing. It's the same thing with the Bible. You have to start somewhere. So, okay, so Rachel shows up. Flip, that's where we're at. Go ahead.
Real quick, I just want to say what's up to Leo. I seen him come to the room, so I just want to say what's up to him.
Oh, did he? What's up, bud?
And try. Why is the Bible so bogus?
If he wants to come up, I'll drop down because I got to walk the dog.
Hey, Trot, why is the Bible so bogus? Gonna say that Leah was tender-eyed?
Hold on. It said that Leah's what? Hold on, bro. I didn't hear it. What'd you say?
It says Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful, beautiful and well-favored.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Oh, tender.
All right, hold on.
Hey,
All
so
right.
little
That's not what you think it means.
All right, hold on a second. All right, Dre, let's go to the verse. Are you jumping the gun, Dre?
A little bit. I was kept
Okay,
reading
let's wait till we get there. Let's wait till we get there so we can see spiritually what's being said there. Okay.
Yeah, but
so let me say this. All right, hold on. Let me say this real quick. Okay, so this is Jacob. We just got through reading. Now, today we didn't, but I have been over this story at least 3 or 4 times, and if everyone hadn't heard it, I apologize. But let me say this about the story real quick. The Bible tells us that when Jacob and Esau, they were twins, when they came out of their mother's womb, it says that Esau was red and hairy all over. And it says that Jacob was smooth-skinned. Okay? If you really believe that the only thing you're supposed to get from that is that one kid was hairy and one wasn't, you are missing a huge point. Mm-hmm. Huge. I don't even know how to express how huge of a point you're missing here. What the Bible is telling us is that one of them was ready. One of them was ready, and one wasn't. See, when you're not familiar with the Bible in its entirety, you're going to miss huge symbolisms. You're going to miss huge parables that help you understand what's going on in the rest of the Bible. Jesus is considered hairy and ready. So when you say, well, I don't see a verse, then you're not reading the Bible enough, because it's not about one verse. It's about the Bible in its entirety. Adam was called ruddy. Oh, I said ready. I'm sorry. I meant to say ruddy. But Adam is called ruddy. Jesus is called ruddy. David is called ruddy. And Esau is ruddy, red. That's why there's a red heifer. Jesus is the sacrifice. He was the red heifer. So today, because people are reading scripture, and instead of finding Christ in the scripture, they still think that there's some things that need to be done. They bought 4 red heifers from Texas because who's got more cattle than Texas? Texas got all the cattle, so they came down here and bought 4 red heifers, and they're like a year and a half or 2 years old now. So within another year or so, because the red heifer has to be 3 years old. So they're over here saying, oh, yeah, the red heifer. And I'm not going to go through the whole story of that, but they think they found the red heifer that the Bible's taught. Jesus, it was the red heifer. Red, hairy. It's him. The whole story of Jacob and Esau is us being Jacob. We're not red. We're not hairy. It's a characteristic of Jesus that's hard to explain. Okay, the whole tabernacle, when you study it, there's a lot of hair, a lot of goat hair that's put on it because Jesus is the tabernacle. Okay, so Esau is representing the firstborn. Jesus is the firstborn, the first fruits. It's him. And the thing that blessed Jacob, Jacob was able to have the inheritance of his father because he wore the clothing that Esau wore, and he took animal skins and put them on his body so he feels hairy. The depiction here is when we go to the Father, we are covered by the firstborn, who is Christ. That is what you're supposed to be getting out of these stories. Not that Esau was white and Jacob was black and sit here and argue about skin color like a bunch of animals. That is not what's taking place here. When your carnal mind is trying to figure out how to enjoy this life by reading these people's stories only, you missed it. And here's the thing. We've all been lied to for a very long time. All of us. Okay. But you have to understand that the majority of humans are not trying to lie to you on purpose. They just can't see. The eyesight was taken away in the garden. Okay. And our eyesight was given back to us. Paul the Apostle being a perfect example of that. You don't think Paul the Apostle knew the stories in the Bible? Think about it. He was a Pharisee of Pharisees. He knew the stories in the Bible like the back of his hand. But yet, he didn't see the word. He knew the story of Abraham like no other. But he didn't know that Sarah and Hagar, Abraham's wife and maiden, know that they... My bad. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, Paul did not know before he met Jesus. He did not know that that Sarah and Hagar of Abraham, he did not know that they depicted a mountain. He did not know that. But when he met Christ, he went back to the desert for years, it tells us, and he studied the Bible with his spiritual eyes. It doesn't have to tell you that. You can tell what he starts saying about the Bible. He did not see these things before. But all of a sudden, he starts talking about Sarah being Mount Zion and Hagar being Mount Sinai. But if you go back in the Old Testament, it does not say that. It does not say, oh, by the way, Abraham's wife represents Mount Sinai. The law wasn't even given yet. The law wasn't given. The 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai were not given yet. But yet Abraham's wife, Sarah, symbolized the promise to come, which is at Mount Zion, which was Christ, the Spirit. And Hagar represented that of people under bondage, talking about the law. That's the bondage. So we were not free from bondage like if we were slaves in the 1300s. That's not what this is talking about. That's why you have Hebrew Israelites arguing about skin color and slaves. That's not what the Bible's teaching. It's not talking about that. In real life, there were slaves. Yes, of course. No duh. But that's not the foundation. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is Jesus came to be our slave. That's the whole point of this entire thing. That's why after the law was given, as soon as the law was given, the 10 Commandments, what the black Hebrew Israelites and these other law people, the people that worship the law, they don't understand, and you can tell they don't because they see the laws given, and that's all they see, Jacob, Esau, and the law. But as soon as God gave the law, he started talking about a servant. Why? Why? You know what these people make you believe? They'll try to make you believe that God wants all of us to be slaves of somebody. So either Esau's either going to be the slave of Jacob's descendants, or Jacob descendants going to be the slaves of Esau descendants. And they're going to say, it says it right here. But it's not talking about in this physical world, man. That's not what it's talking about. Just like Sarah and Hagar, they're not mountains. Come on. If you saw two people, one female human, right in front of you, you're going to tell me they're mountains? So it's so funny. They pick and choose what they want to be physical, what they want to be carnal. You can't pick and choose. God will show you what's physical and what's carnal. But Paul the Apostle said that these two women, each one of them represented a mountain. And because Hagar was a slave, she's the Mount Sinai, where we became slaves to the law, the first covenant made by God. But Jesus is the final covenant, the last Adam. He's the slave that came. That's why after the law was given, a slave is mentioned. And if you haven't recognized that, you need to go find the 10 Commandments and go read about this slave that's being talked about, because it's talking about Christ. So, with all that being said, go ahead and start reading at our pick up where you left off, Flip, at where Rachel comes to the well.
Verse 9, I believe.
You ended on verse 10.
Yeah, I stopped at 8, actually. Okay. Huh?
Because the last
What's
word that you
that?
said was shepherdess, which is the end of verse 9. So you'd be starting on verse 10 now.
Just read verse 9 again and just go from there.
All right, so now while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban and his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. Then it came to pass, when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month.
All right, okay.
Then Laban said to Jacob,
hey, can you hear me, Flip? Flip. Hello.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, so
Yo.
Okay, hold on. There might be a delay. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's a slight delay. Flip has some low signal bars on his picture.
Okay, so Laban tells Jacob, what does he say? What does he say about the bones? What does he say?
That you are my bone and my flesh.
Okay, and what did Adam say to Eve?
That she is the flesh of his bone.
Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
Yeah, and we just went over one yesterday or the day before. Do y'all remember? We were talking about Samuel and Saul. Y'all don't remember that one?
Short-term memory. I'm sorry.
I came in late on that. I came in late.
It's all right. It's okay. I'm just again, it becomes a problem, and I'll say this over and over. When a person individually, when you are not as familiar with the Bible like you are your favorite movie or whatever, this is where it becomes a problem, because the physical things in this world, they become more real to you than the things that's actually in the Bible. And I ask people all the time, hey, what's your favorite movie? Because I have one too. It's The Goonies. Okay, my favorite movie. Now, I didn't read the Bible when I was 12, but I probably saw the movie Goonies at least, I don't know, once a month. I'm not even kidding. I love that movie growing up, okay? And I still do.
Twice a week.
But I got very familiar with the characters. I knew every character. I understood, like, why each character, like, was the way they were, the way it fit with the movie. I understood it. And I'm sitting there saying that the Bible's the same way. So all you have to do is you be honest to yourself and say, hey, what's my favorite movie? And then ask yourself, how familiar are you with those characters? Oh, man, this and that. And then you ask yourself, how familiar am I with the characters in the Bible? And you know what you'll find? You just find a bunch of ideas, because there's no familiarity at all. You're not familiar with nothing, which means we're understanding a doctrine that we're only familiar with what we agree with or what we hear rather than what the Bible is saying itself. So that's why I tell people this is a test you do to yourself. Do it to yourself. You're the only one that can be honest to yourself. All you do is ask yourself, what's my favorite movie? Am I familiar with the characters? And if it's not a movie, it's a book. Whatever it is, ask yourself, what are you good at or what are you familiar with? And then be honest and say, am I familiar with the Bible the way I am with this, whatever this is? If the answer is no, then there you go. There's half of the problem right there. Now you know half of the problem. The other half is you have to get familiar with it. And you have to get as familiar. And when I say every character, I mean every character. So like, oh my God, there's so many. Well, guess what? Let's just say you're 35 right now. I mean, before you know it, you're going to be 55. So you either want to be 55 understanding all the characters or 55 not understanding all the characters. It's up to you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you do live to be 55, 20 years is going to go by whether you wanted to or not. So you might as well be familiar with the characters in this Bible. Or you're going to catch yourself still being 12 years old, and I'm talking spiritually, you're still a kid spiritually, and now you're arguing with 20-year-olds because they just started getting familiar with the Bible, and it took you 60 years to get as familiar with the characters as a 20-year-old is. The seed only grows when you water it. It's just like anything else. And if you waste your time arguing about doctrines, that's how much less familiar you're going to be with the characters in there, which means it's going to be harder to understand the parables. It's going to be harder to understand what Christ is writing in there because we're focused on one subject in the Bible. Once saved, always saved. 10 years go by, that's the only thing that they can talk about. They're not familiar with any character. They could care less about the Old Testament. So it's important to be familiar with the people in here. It's familiar. It's your benefit to be familiar with phrases that's used. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Adam, Laban, story of Samuel, Saul. Every one of these stories hopped in my head only because I'm familiar with the characters and how they spoke to each other. It's very important. It's vital. It's huge. So, okay, so Laban says what he says. Go ahead, flip from there. Just repeat that and just continue on.
All right, so verse 14.
Sorry.
All good.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Laban said to him, surely you are bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters, and the name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful, of form and appearance. And Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to Flip. Stay with me. So
Why did he just throw me off with that?
I can't believe he said that.
The Flipinator.
all right, so Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. And Laban gathered together all these men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I have served you? Why then have you deceived me? And Laban said, it must not be done so in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years. Then Jacob did to him and fulfilled her week. So he gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife also, and Laban his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years. All right, so when the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said,
Okay.
"The
All
Lord."
right. Hold on right there. Okay. So Rachel was barren, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Who else was barren in the Bible?
Sarah.
Sarah was barren. Okay. So watch this. This is where the lingo kind of, you need to start understanding. Why are these very specific people barren all the time? Is the Bible really trying to tell us that they just couldn't bear kids? Is that the point of the story?
No,
I don't
No.
I believe that it has to do with their faith. Their faith was weak.
No, it don't have to do.
I believe.
Okay.
No, it doesn't have to do. Hold on, it doesn't have to do with their faith.
Okay.
I believe he's trying
It's
to show
It has to
us
do. Hold
that
on,
we're
hold on.
barren.
Do what? I'm sorry, Jesse. I think I'm lagging. Jesse, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm lagging or something.
I believe that the stories are foreshadowing and showing us that we're the ones that are barren. Humanity, we are the ones that are barren, because if we don't have Christ and his redemption, then our spirits are not united with God. So we're barren from God.
So let me ask you this. What does the word barren mean?
Not to be able to have children.
No, that's not what the word barren means. That's how it's used. That's how it's used in context.
I see what you're asking.
Dry.
What is barren?
Dry.
Desolate and
Dry.
without life.
Okay,
Desolate,
so watch this.
desolate, dry.
Okay, so watch this. Where is the first time in the Bible that we see something become dry or desolate?
In the garden.
Okay, in the garden. Okay, so because of that, there was a promise that was made to us, right?
Yes.
And we know that promise is Christ. And when he came, is it a coincidence that he's always offering water, living water? Why is he always offering living water?
Because we're desolate, we're dry. We need
That's
to be
right.
filled.
Okay,
We are barren.
we are barren. So these women that you constantly are seeing is representing us, that we cannot give spiritual life to anyone because we don't have life in us.
That's why we have to take off our sandals. Because
That's why we have to be born. That's why we have to be born again.
And we have to get our feet washed, because all of it all ties in.
Okay, but I'm going through here. Yeah, but I'm going through here because before I digress, let me just say this. So this is not about faith. This don't have, now when you read the story, okay, you can start making yourself believe that this is trying to teach you to have faith like Sarah. That's not what it's trying to teach you. Okay? I'm sorry, but that's not it. What it's trying to teach you is for you to find yourself in the Lamb's book of life. What's the Lamb's book of life? What's the Lamb? What's the Lamb?
Jesus.
Christ. This is the Lamb's book of life, and your name is written in it. If you can see who you are in here. If you can't see who you are in here, then your name's not in the Lamb's book of life, because you don't see it in there. Are we not co-heirs with Christ? Is that true or not?
That's
No,
true,
absolutely.
very true.
So
And that's why some stories resonate
so if that
with
is-
others. Is that correct? Try to say?
Some stories can resonate more with others if they're reading it carnally, okay? But the truth is, a spiritual person does not resonate more with the story than another, because we're all Christ. Nobody is more of something in the story. That's not true. What is true is we are as Christ is. That's why in the New Testament it says, as he is, so are we in this world. As he is. And how is he? Somebody explain to me how he is.
Alive, full of living water.
He's alive, living water, joy,
Perfect.
love, peace. And as he is, so are we. We're all one body, one spirit. We're all one. We're not all individuals. We're individuals in this world, separated, away from God. But spiritually, we're all one. So if someone is resonating more with the story than another person, that means one of them is blind. Because spiritually, we all need to resonate the exact same with every person. Now, if you're looking at the story, the physical story of the person, you're missing it. This is not a fairy tale. You're missing it huge. Your carnal eyes are lying to you. You need to start using your heart and trying to understand what Scripture is telling you. Scripture is telling us right now that Jacob married 2 women. That is a physical story. In real life, did that happen? Yes, but that doesn't mean I need to go find a pimp so he can resonate on how to be with a bunch of women. That's not what this is telling you. That's not what's happening here. In real life, yes. In real life, Jacob married 2 women. Yes, but your question needs to be, what is this saying about me? And if you say, well, shoot, man, I used to be like that too. I used to roll with all kinds of women in my vehicle. I have 5 or 6 of them in there. That's not what this is talking about. This ain't talking about how many women you're rolling up at the club with. That's not what this is talking about. It's talking about, again, let's go back. Flip, can you read how Leah and Rachel is described? Can you read that again?
All right. Here, real quick before he does though, I think one of the hardest things that a lot of people come across is they look at the Bible as a book. They don't see it as, one, the Word of God, and 2, historical written documents. There, it's somebody taking capture of something that literally happened in reality versus just a story that we're reading that matches here and there. The fact that this stuff echoes itself and echoes Jesus from time immemorial, from the beginning until the end, until, amen in Revelation. It's all, literal historical documentation. It's not just, a book. And so,
yeah, so
looking at it.
In other words, they're not looking at it as the love story of redemption from the beginning to the end.
Right. 100%. That's exactly how this, with your first eyes, your first set of eyes, your spiritual eyes, and if you don't have them open, just stick around. I'll get them open. Okay. All you got to do is believe. That's it. Your eyes will open. So if you're reading this for nothing more than a historical document, then that's all you're going to get out of it. If you're reading this on how to live your life in this world, that's all you're going to get out of it. But if you're reading this with your heart, then you'll see what the story is really saying. It is God who wrote this down. It was a physical man that took a physical pen to a physical piece of parchment, leather, rock, I don't care what toenail of an animal, I don't care what you want to call it. It was a physical man that wrote this down. But he wrote these things down because he knew that God was all in it, in this story. And because he utilized faith, wrote it down, then faith, who is Christ, faith is not a word, faith is a person, faith is a servant. Jesus said, I came not to be served, but to serve, because he's the servant that's mentioned after the 10 Commandments were given. Because Moses gave the law, but grace and truth came through Christ, the servant. The law was not a servant. The law did not serve God. The law did not speak back. The law demanded the flesh to behave, and if the flesh didn't behave, then they became unalived. Very simple concept. But Christ is the law, the fulfillment of it. He shows how hard it is to be good, and he shows how easy it is to mess up. So he's like, oh, you got the law? Well, you know, if you even think something wrong, you sin. So what did he do? He showed how easy it was to mess up, right? Because the law, the 10 Commandments say not to unalive, meaning physically. But Jesus said, oh, on contrary, my friend, the one thing that the law doesn't have is imagination. And God gave all of us an imagination. You know why? Because he has an imagination. That's why the flood happened. It says, for their imagination was evil continuously. Their imagination. This is not talking about your 10-year-old's imagination, the lava floor. Stay on the couch. I'm not talking about that imagination. I'm talking about the spiritual imagination. So Jesus said, so yeah, Moses said, thou shalt not unalive, but I say, what an arrogant thing if he was just a man. Moses said, but I say if you even think about it. So what is he doing? He's saying the law was hard physically, but let me show you how hard it is spiritually to be right with God. Because if you just think of something, it's wrong. So he showed the fulfillment of the law. The law had a standard of physical things not to do. And Jesus said, that's not the law. I'm the law. If you even think about it, which means, yes, the law shows you how hard it is to be good, but I'm going to show you how much harder it actually is. Since all y'all have here is physical things, we only could give you something physical. But I'm going to show you how much harder it is. If you even think about it, he fulfilled the law by adding that. If you even think about it, you sin. So he showed how easy it was to mess up. And then he shows how hard it is to be good. He did both. He brought back both spectrums, both sides. Because he is the law. The truth of the law, the truth. The law was true by saying if you disobey these, you become unalive in the flesh. That's true. But truth is only on one side. Moses gave the law, but grace and truth came through Christ, which means truth is only on one side. It didn't say Moses gave the law and truth. That's not what it says. The law is true, but it's not the truth. Jesus is the truth. Why? Because he fulfilled the law by showing you how easy it is to mess up and how hard it is to be good. He told the man, he goes, well, go sell everything you have. And the guy's like, well, I can't do that. Okay. He shows how easy it is to mess up, how hard it is to be good. He fulfilled the law. That's how he fulfilled it. He didn't just obey. He is the law. That's how he fulfilled it. That's why you'll never hear me argue with people that are under the law. They don't understand how Christ fulfilled it. And they'll argue, he didn't abolish it. How can he abolish himself? Which means they don't see that Jesus is the law. They don't see it. They still think the stones is the law. No, he removed our stony heart and replaced it with the heart of flesh with him. So I know it's a lot of digression going on, and I'm trying to.
Can I jump in and read
ahead.
a couple of barren? I'm gonna read a couple of barren verses so you guys can see the whole thing, right? So Sarai, we know Genesis 11:30. Rachel was barren, Genesis 29:31. Judges 13:2, we know that Sora, which was the mother of Samson, she was barren. And then when you jump into the New Testament, let me read another Old Testament one. In Psalms 113:9, it says, he maketh the barren woman to keep house and be joyful mother of children. Praise be the Lord. So it's talking about the change there. But
yeah, so, go ahead.
Elizabeth was also barren in the New Testament. But
okay, hold on. Who was Elizabeth?
That was John the Baptist's mama.
John the Baptist's mom. So watch this. John the Baptist's mom, and we know everybody's role that John the Baptist was. She was barren. Samson was a shadow of Christ, and it was just a coincidence that his mother was barren.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And here's the I'm gonna read 3 verses in the New Testament that you guys probably just read right over, and it's gonna kick you right in the spiritual brain. It says in Luke 23:29, it says, "For behold, the days are coming in which they say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs of that never bare, and the paps which never gave suck." Galatians 4:27 says, "For it is written, Rejoice, thou barren that beareth not. Break forth and cry, thou that travaileth not. For the desolate has many more children than she which has an husband."
Yeah, so what
And
does
then
that mean? What does that, hold on. What does that mean that the desolate will have more children?
that's under the law. That's under, I mean, outside of the law, under the
Well, it's
grace.
saying that when the desolate becomes revived, right? When we get back to the Garden of Eden, we'll have more children than you ever thought was possible spiritually.
Right. No, here's
That's what it's
a
talking
real
about.
kicker. Y'all ready for this one? This is listen, guys, I might have to put this one on my wall because I read it and I did not see it. I'm not gonna be honest. 2 Peter 1:8 says, "For if these things be in you and abound, they make you ye shall not be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ." My God.
Yeah.
Talk about a summation.
Yeah.
Summation of a spiritualation.
So the reason why I'm pointing out the barren aspect is because if you're not familiar with the word, you're missing why this person is barren. So who was it that was barren here that we're reading about right now?
We're talking about Rachel. And by the way, if you
Rachel.
guys
So
want these addresses, I'm gonna put them inside of the Discord server under Shadows of Christ. I'm gonna put all these addresses in there if y'all want them later. Sorry,
okay,
go ahead.
so Rachel's barren. Flip, can you please read the characteristics of these two women?
Yeah, so verse 31, when the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren.
Hold on. No, the characteristics when they were described when Jacob first saw them.
One was
Leah's
tender-eyed and
eyes
one was
were
beautiful.
weak, but Rachel was beautiful.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Here we go again with understanding being familiar with the word. It's not a coincidence that Rachel is barren. It's not a coincidence that she's the second born, because that which is first becomes last. That which is last becomes first. Remember, the first Adam fell, but the last Adam received the inheritance of the father, not the first. Joseph had two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Not the firstborn. Jesus is the first fruits, and we receive the inheritance, the second part of us, not the flesh, right? So our flesh was born into this world first, but our spiritual was not the firstborn, the secondborn, who is Christ, who lives in us. So it's not a coincidence that Rachel is secondborn. It's not a coincidence that she is described as beautiful. Don't let your eyes and your peanut brain fool you. This is not trying to tell you that Rachel was pretty. Now, was she pretty? I'm sure she was. But for you, the Bible's not trying to teach you that Rachel is pretty. The Bible is trying to see how familiar you are with the Word. The Word says that Jonah left Joppa before he got swallowed by the whale. Joppa means beautiful, which is the presence of God. The presence of God is beautiful. So when you see the second born being described as beautiful, it's talking about the promise, who is Christ. That's why when Rachel has two sons, Joseph and Benjamin, if you pay attention real close to the story out of all these women, Joseph came from Rachel, the one that was barren, and Joseph is a shadow of Christ, just like Samson is a shadow of Christ and his mother was barren. What does it say about Mary, Jesus' mother in this world? Was she barren? Anybody?
She was a virgin, so I don't know. I don't know if she was
No, she
barren
was
or
a
not.
I
virgin.
had a thought
So
that she was for some reason, but then I went
I'm
to
still waiting on an answer. If she
I'm gonna say
was barren, give me,
I'm gonna say she was barren. Her name is Mary, which means bitter, and it was a tree of
there you
life that
go.
went inside her.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So here we go again with being familiar with the Bible. When Moses was in the desert, right? He's leading all the Hebrews to the promised land. He cries out to God and says, "You brought us here to this water that's Mara. It's bitter. They can't drink it." And it says that God showed him a tree, and when he put the tree in the bitter water, it became sweet. The tree is representing the tree of life. And when the tree of life is put into your bitter water, your dry, desolate land, it comes alive. It becomes honey. This is what I'm talking about, being familiar with what all these things are talking about. So it's not a coincidence that Mary's name, the one that bore Christ, her name means bitter water. That's what Mary means, Mara. That's where the name Mary comes from. It comes from the word Mara, which is here in the Old Testament. Is it also a coincidence that the two humans that went looking for Jesus at his tomb were not only female, their both names were Mary, both of them? That's a coincidence too, that they were both Mara, seeking the tree of life. That's a coincidence too then? When you're reading these stories and all you see is a book and you're like, oh man, this thing's going to make my life better, you're missing it. That book is not about making your life better. That's why Jesus says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all these things. Well, I'm telling you, your perspective will change when you seek first the kingdom of heaven and you start becoming more familiar with the characters and the words and the phrases in this book than you do with the world that we live in. You start getting more familiar with this and all these things that will be added to you. First off, your perspective is going to change. Your viewpoint of what you thought you wanted and whatever type of attention you thought you wanted is completely different. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It just means you start getting a different perspective. The you in this, the firstborn of you starts decreasing, and little by little, the him who he is that lives in you starts increasing. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a light switch. But when you start hearing, oh, go ahead. What?
Sorry. Okay, so when you originally asked the question, the thought popped into my head, Mary, but I didn't do any research on Mary to know that, like, any of that information. So
yeah,
my question is, like, my immediate next thought was, no, it was Elizabeth, her cousin, not Mary. So was that the carnal taking over?
What do you mean? I don't know what you're saying.
Like, in that thought process, because immediately I thought Mary. But then my next thought was, no, it's Elizabeth.
Hold on. You thought Mary immediately after what?
After you asked who was barren in the Bible.
Yeah. Well, again, first of all, there wasn't one person who was barren. The
right.
point I'm making is, when it watch this. When the Bible stops for you, just pay attention to what I'm saying. So let's say you're reading along, and then out of nowhere you're like, and she was barren. If you say to yourself, oh, well, they just wanted us to know that, she can't have kids, you don't know how to read the Bible. It's not, this is not just trying to tell you that this person cannot have kids. Right. This is that turn aside moment. I go over the phrase turn aside a lot because there's not enough people that turn aside. We are supposed to turn aside spiritually, incline your spiritual ear and ask why. Why are you telling us that this woman is barren? Why? And you know what's funny? When you start asking them questions, they'll all start sticking out. Well, that's funny. Most of the women, they talk about being barren, they're always having kids that's about the promise to come. Oh, so it's all about the promise. So right. Wasn't John the Baptist part of the promise?
Yep.
Yeah. So Rachel is described as beautiful because she's representing the promise. not because she's physically pretty. This is not trying to tell us that Jacob was a bad man because he wanted the pretty young woman over the older one. That's not what this is trying to tell us. In real,
and actually,
let me say
actually,
this.
the
Let me say
Bible
this.
kind of,
Let me say this real quick. So in real life, yes, Jacob liked the younger one. Yes, in real life. But I'm talking about the word. I'm not talking about the black letters on the white page. The black letters on the white page is the story of men. But the word is the God-breathed part. It's the part you cannot see with your physical eyes.
Right.
I say this all the time. If we were all standing around in a circle, we could see the physical us, but not one of you can point and say, oh, I can see the God breathed in him. No, you can't. No, you can't. That's why the Bible is called God breathed. There's something in there that your physical eyes cannot see, and it's called the Word. So if I pick up the Bible and I say, this is the Word, I always ask people, what's the Word? This is. The Bible's the Word? I was like, let me hear the Word. And you know what they do? They just start reading the black letters on the white page. That's not the Word.
Yeah.
But if I ever was to tell someone, hey, let me hear the Word, and they were to open the scripture and they would say Samson was a shadow of Christ and his hair represented faith. And if you take hair away from Samson, it makes Samson weak. There's only one thing in the world that makes a man weak, and that's not having faith. Then I will tell him, yes, that is the Word that you're holding.
Yeah. That makes sense. My question was more along the lines of spiritual versus like carnal, because like the thought of Mary, I've not researched Mary. I didn't know anything that Dre said about her and like the Hebrew of Mary. And so I'm asking if that was the spiritual revelation, and then my mind went, no, it has to be Elizabeth because I know that.
Well, it's just you trying to learn. You're questioning what you're hearing. You're trying to learn. So, but that's why I keep saying you have to be familiar with phrases, people's names, because while you're reading the Bible, this thing is an instrument. It has a tune. And so anytime that you hear like soil or desolate or dry, it's the same note throughout the entire Bible. Yeah. But if you're not familiar with the song, then you don't recognize what you're hearing, period. We just put it that way. Everything in here is musical notes. And a person that knows how to play the instrument, it'll be a harp. That's why David played a harp for Saul, because he played the word with his heart. It's the only thing that will ease a man with the troubling spirit. If you're going to sit here and tell me when you read that story, you're like, man, David must have been a good harp player, you're missing it again. That is not what the Bible's trying to tell you. It's not trying to tell you that David played the harp well, so you need to join the band and play the banjo because you're just a good banjo player. That's not what this is talking about. The reason that David is called a man after God's own heart is because he knew how to use his heart. That's why. So him easing evil spirits from Saul wasn't because he played so well on a physical instrument. Now, in real life, did David play a real harp? Yes. But this is talking about him ministering to a man's heart. That's what it's talking about. And there's only one way to minister to a man's heart, and that's to preach the gospel.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Well, and Jesus kind of shows us this as
the whole orchestra.
And Jesus kind of shows us this as in an example, like Matthew 24, when he's talking about the abomination that caused desolation. Then he pauses and says, "Let the reader understand." Ooh. Basically, doing exactly what you're showing us here is to go back through the scriptures that you know that you love and live more than your soap operas, that they are your heart soap opera, so to speak. That you can go through them and go, "Oh yeah, okay, I understand."
Yeah, and I say soap opera because we're talking about soap operas, but come on, man. I don't know. I could pick any random thing. I don't know. Race car drivers. There's people. That's all they do. They spend $50,000, $100,000 a year, if not more. Okay, depending on what level of race car driver, and that's all they do all day, every day. That's fine. What I'm saying is, you can make that your your God if you want to. It doesn't matter what the thing is. You know, they told Arnold Schwarzenegger one time, they said, hey, people think you're crazy, you know, because you're so big. Like, they think something's wrong with you. They think it's weird. And he's like, I don't understand. You know, for me, driving around in circles, that's weird to me. Anybody can point out your physical thing in this world to be weird. But what you have to remember is when someone is saved, you're no longer focused on the weird things that God is pulling them away from. You're focused on the person's heart now because they're part of the body, one spirit. And so if someone has a misunderstanding of Scripture and they're always arguing about it, the worst thing you can do is be a stumbling block and go argue with them about it, dude. Leave them alone until they figure it out. And when they do, they'll start growing, and the conversation's over at that point. You know, don't become a stumbling block and argue with someone because they're not that they don't understand something. Now, if you just so happen to be talking to them in the moment and you're like, bro, that's not what that's talking about, and they get mad at you, okay, well, fine. Stop the conversation before they, don't want to talk to you ever again. Just like Peter cuts Malchus's ear off, and then you when you look at a story, like, he goes back and wants to talk to some of these guys. I guarantee you, is like, oh no, Peter, get away from me, you get away. No. Can I talk to John? Can I please talk to John? You tried to kill me the other day. No. So, you keep being a stumbling block that they're not going to want to talk to you. And let me say this, everybody will be a stumbling block to someone. Let me make that very clear. There is every one of us has certain characteristics that people just can't stand and they don't like it. And I'm not talking about physical or any of that. It could just be, and I'm saying the way you look, I'm saying it could be mannerisms. Like, there are some people that, they had a silver spoon in their mouth their entire life, and they get around someone like me and they're like, oh, I just can't be around them. I mean, just my words make them melt. Like, they want to go unalive themselves. Just my demeanor. They can't stand it. But, and I can't stand the babied man. So, I'll be very clear. A grown man who's been babied his whole life, there's a physical part of me that can't stand that, right? But without Christ, okay, all you'll be focused on is what your flesh, when I say you, I'm talking about the flesh right now. The real you is the soul, okay? But we're supposed to let our soul thrive. So let's say that a very, very soft man is sitting in front of me, and I'm tempted to be like, man, this dude needs to grow up, or he needs a butt whooping. I need to go tie him up to the back of my pickup and get the sissy out of him. I'm not going to say, you know what? Yeah, that's a good idea. No, I'm not going to say that because I don't agree that that's the best way to minister to a person. But I am going to ask him, okay, well, I'm going to say, how do you take the thoughts captive, and you just say, hey, okay, that might have made sense when I was 20, but let's handle this a better way. This is a man of God right here in front of me, and it doesn't matter if he's quote unquote soft or not. What the heck does that matter? What in the world does that have to do with God? That ain't got nothing to do with God. So you should be able to say, okay, that thought obviously is not from God. And this person is just asking questions about the Bible, and that's it. And so I don't meet the person based on how my physical body feels. I meet them based on truth of the word. That's where I meet them there. So I know it sounds like, we digressed a lot. I get it. But I'm trying to pinpoint that the Bible is not trying to tell us to focus on how pretty these two women are, or how one is what does it say about the eye? What does it say about Leah's eye?
Oh, goodness. It's before that.
Nobody's there. Nobody's got it.
I'm getting there.
I had it, but I was scrolling around the Bible looking up other things.
Tender-eyed or cross-eyed?
I don't know. When you find it, can y'all tell me where it's at, where it's describing the two women to
17,
Jacob?
29.
17.
Yeah.
17. Okay, Leah was tender-eyed. Okay,
Right.
yeah, tender-eyed. Okay, so the point is Leah's tender-eyed, but Rachel's beautiful. So trust me, I understand that it's not easy, and you're like, okay, well, she's tender-eyed, like, oh, but this one's beautiful, and you're like, yeah, man, boy, playa. That's not the point of this story. The point of the story is this man. Watch this. This is the whole point of this story. This man wants the promise now. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? There's two covenants in the Bible. There's the old wine and the new wine.
The weak one.
There's
the
the
weak
law
covenant and the good covenant.
There's the law and there's the promise. There's the law and there's Christ. So the reason that you see Jacob trying to work for Rachel is because it represents a man trying to earn God's grace. That's what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to earn the younger promise. So what happens? He gets the older one instead. So what do we see? We see Laban lying. That's all we see. You don't understand that Jacob is trying to earn something that you cannot earn. You can't earn it. But what you can earn or try to earn anyway, because it's proven in the story, he gets the law. That's what you see spiritually. Just like Abraham has Sarah and Hagar. Was Sarah and Hagar real people? Yes. But spiritually, what did they represent? One represented Mount Sinai, which is the law. The other one represented Mount Zion, which is grace. These two women represented mountains. So here we are again with a man and two women. One is called beautiful. So if you're not familiar with the word, you're not understanding why she's called beautiful. She's called beautiful because through the parables, you're supposed to understand what is beautiful in the Bible, which is God's presence, which is the Garden of Eden, pleasant. That's what's beautiful.
So but basically, bottom line is the law had to be fulfilled before you can get to the promise.
Absolutely, because the law is something that you're going to strive to earn. The demand, right? The law demands you to be a certain way, and you have to work.
That's crazy how they think about it, though.
I know. So let me say this. Let me say this real quick. So why was Adam told what he was told by God after he fell? Somebody go to it and look at it. Hopefully we're able to put this together.
Chapter 3.
Yeah, but read it. Read it.
Hold on, man. Let me get back to it.
Read it.
I gotta tell you my mom's interpretation of this story we just read before we end today, so we can laugh a little bit.
Playa.
No, it's not even that, bro. You gonna see my mom in her eyes. Well, my mama love the law, boy. Hey, where we at? You said
where God is asking Adam, "Did you eat of the tree that I told you not to eat?" And then just keep reading it from there.
Yeah. So he said, "Who told you that I was naked?" From there, you want to go from there?
That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. He said, "Who told you that I was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree wherefore commanded thee thou should not eat?" And the man said, "The woman thou gavest to me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord said unto the woman, What hast thou done?" And the woman said,
I'm sorry. No, get to the part where he's like, where the curse is made obvious to Adam.
Okay.
So after he tells Satan to go to the belly, after he says, "Go to the belly, may you go."
I think it's right here. And he said unto Adam, "Because thou hast hearkened the voice of thy wife, hast eaten of the tree I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat in all the days of your life. Thorns, also thistles."
Okay, cursed is what ground?
The heart.
The heart. Man. Okay, so what's that? Okay, so cursed is the ground. What's after that?
Cursed is the ground, and in sorrow thou shalt eat all the days of your life.
In sorrow shall they eat. Eat what?
Thorns
Keep
and
reading.
thistles.
He tells you. It tells you. Keep reading.
Thorns and thistles shall bring
Yep.
forth unto thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. And in the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread.
Right. What's
Till
bread
thou
in the
turn
Bible? What's bread in the Bible?
the word, Jesus.
The word.
Flesh
And why is he sweating? Why is he sweating on this bread?
Because now you got to work. You got
That's
to
right.
search it
That's
out.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
And I'm telling you.
he was in communion with God. He didn't have to search nothing. God was with
Right.
him. He was
Right.
perfect. Now you got to go pick up these black letters on these white pages and
Yep.
spend some time in it.
Yep.
So,
100%.
so I have a question
What?
regarding this because, like, so those outside of the covenant, any of our covenants, do they take like the American laws and hang them up on their wall so that they know which ones like
Does
know what
does who
not
do
to
that?
do?
Does who do that?
Like people outside of the covenant, people outside of the Bible.
Like, give me an example. What do you mean?
Like someone that doesn't believe in Jesus. Do they just take the laws? Because that's what it seems like everyone wants to do with the law, even in the Bible. They want to make sure they're not committing any of them, which that makes sense in the Old Testament.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure there's people that do that. I mean, you know, we used to have the 10 Commandments in schools, and everybody thought that's
true.
That's how we're supposed to do it.
Okay.
But I tell you, taking the 10 Commandments out of the schools is one of the best things that ever happened.
Yeah.
And people don't understand, you know, why I would say that. And we're not supposed to put people under the law. So It makes no sense for us to be under the new covenant and you got everybody under the law. The law wasn't given to us. It was given to the Hebrews.
Right.
And the misinterpretation of the law is the problem.
Right.
People sin more when you tell them they can't do something.
Yeah.
And so when you think that you're going to tell everybody not to do something and they're going to listen, that's funny. Felons get caught with guns all the time and they're not supposed to have them. So, you know, this idea of more laws, you know, what it is, and I hate to say this, but the more laws you make, all we do as a society is end up hardening our hearts towards people because we can't stand sinners. That's what we're saying.
Which Satan
Here's
is.
here's a good example. In Europe, the Autobahn has no speed limit, and they have less accidents than we do. We have constant accidents.
I've been on the Autobahn, man. When I went up there, we rented a BMW that goes almost 200 miles an hour, but I couldn't get that thing to go fast enough. I was like, man, this is amazing. But you know what? After about 2 or 3 days, that kind of wore off. Like I was like, well, what's so fun about going 200? Like I can go 200 miles an hour.
Right.
Like, what's the big deal? Now, I will say it does help you. It does help you get to places a lot quicker. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to tell you one thing about the Autobahn, though, that a lot of people don't know. So it's true they don't have a speed limit. But, you know, there's always a way to put laws, right, on people. And so if you run out of gas on the Autobahn, you're going to jail.
What?
If you don't move over to the right, when a car's behind you, you're going to jail. I'm gonna tell you one thing people don't know: you do anything wrong on the Autobahn, you're going to jail. Period. So
I love it.
There's people that run out of gas and they call a friend to come get them ASAP, bro, because if a pulls up beside you and says, "What's wrong?" and you say, he's like, "Don't worry about it," and they have a right to try to start your car. And if you ran out of gas, they take you to jail right then and there.
I bet. Here's the thing, though, especially with the moving out the way. The majority of accidents happen because people try to swerve around somebody that's in the fast lane. That's usually what causes most accidents on the highway.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, no, that's true.
And people are horrible. Like if you're going to drive the speed limit, just get all the way to the right. I don't understand what the problem is, but they want to be the law and order on the highway. The speed limit is 65. I will go 65, and if you don't like it, go around me. And next thing you know, people get unalive for it because some idiot thinks that they're like the law.
Yeah, well, in the state of Texas, you cannot impede traffic, right? So if you're in the far left, just for anybody, it's not called the left lane. It's only called the left lane if there's 2 lanes, the right and the left. But if there's a 6-lane highway, don't confuse people by saying the left lane. It's the far left, okay? So if you're in the far left lane and you're driving behind, or I'm sorry, and you're driving the speed limit or slower, and there's obvious room for you to move to the right, and you don't, the reason that you'll get a ticket is because there's 5, 6, 7 cars behind you, and they don't have to go around. What you're doing, it's called impeding traffic. You're stopping traffic from flowing. So people to this day still don't understand the concept of the far left lane being for people who are traveling either the speed limit or a little faster than the speed limit. So if you say, well, I'm going the speed limit. Okay, well, that's not the point. That's not the point. Yeah, what's up? What's up?
Anyways, so let me tell you this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how my mom sees Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel and Leah.
All right.
This is my mom's breakdown. I just had a conversation with her the other day about this because she's rewriting the whole Bible, by the way. So, literally, like she's writing the Bible.
Is she the she Messiah?
No. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Don't do that.
Y'all,
get down. No, my mom decided to write the Bible out, like the whole thing by hand, so that she could basically reread the Bible again. So anyways, she was writing that, and she was just like, do you see this, Andres? You see why this happened? Why he had to marry the first wife and the second wife? Because he was a trickster, and whatever you do will back around to you. Because he tricked his brother. Now he got tricked by his uncle.
Yep. I'm telling you,
Basically,
when you're under the law, and these people say you will reap what you sow, and they only use that for the bad. When you do good, you don't ever hear a whole lot of people saying, good job, baby, you're going to reap what you sow. They don't normally use it that way. They use it like it's witchcraft. You're going to reap what you sow. How dare you treat somebody like that? That's how they use it. Reaping and sowing is a fact. You reap bad, you get bad. You reap good, you get good. The difference is when you're saved, this is where people have a problem. The difference is when you're saved, the sin is no longer imputed on the person, like on the flesh. It's not imputed on the flesh because remember, it's your soul that Jesus saved with his soul. So if your soul is saved with his soul, your flesh cannot unsave what he did. Okay? Now, if the person is loving this lavish, sinful life, the problem is they're probably not saved to begin with. That's the issue. But looking on the outer appearance of someone and not paying attention to the soul is a huge issue. And I know we didn't get done with the story of Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, but I wanted to digress about a lot of things because I just can tell when there's an issue with being very familiar with the Bible. And I'm telling you, when you become very familiar, now, if you're very familiar with the law, okay, if you're very familiar with the law, then that's how you're going to see the whole Bible, legalistic, right? And you'll know them because everything you do is wrong. Yeah. I'm not talking about if you're at your job and you're late, you're wrong. At your job, you didn't listen to your boss, you're wrong. No. If you're late, you're wrong, period, the end. I'm not talking about that kind of person. I'm talking about a person that when you're talking to them about the Bible and all they see is something wrong. That's all they ever see. You're wrong, he's wrong, she's wrong, everybody's wrong. Nothing about as he is, so am I in this world. You're not perfect in the spirit. Something's wrong with you. I'm talking about that person. Do you still sin? If you're hanging around people that ask you if your flesh still sins, you need to find some people that know how to see the word because they're not seeing the word. Okay, now what they're saying is true, right? Because the law is true. So if they say, do you still sin? The carnal mind only sees what is true to it, right? So the carnal mind doesn't understand God, but it does understand the things of this world. So if you do something wrong, of course, that person's flesh can recognize that you did something wrong or you're doing something wrong. but that's all it can point out. But the spirit in you is what recognizes the heart of the person. Wow. And you want to be around someone that recognizes the heart. You don't want to be around someone that only sees with their physical eyes when you're doing something wrong. You know why? Because they can't admit when you're not wrong because they don't see it. So why would you put yourself around people that cannot see past the flesh? They can't see past the flesh.
With the people that talk about like your truth, my truth type of.
Yes, 100%. If you're hanging out with someone and they say that's your truth, and my truth is, and your truth, oh my Lord, have mercy. Good riddance. You're about to have a man. That is some wow. There is no such thing. The Bible doesn't tell 20 truths. It tells one. So if you think you're going to Bible study and you can go ahead and call whatever you go to, your little gatherings, you can call it a Bible study all you want to. But if everybody has an opinion about the Bible, then something's wrong with that Bible study. There is not opinions. There is one truth, and it's Christ. And when you're talking about the Bible and you don't talk about the foundation of the story, my friend, you missed the whole point of a Bible study. You're wasting your time. You might as well go watch soap operas because you're doing the same thing. You're just using the Bible to do it. It's the same thing. It is not about, well, I think and I see, and I could care less what you think you see. Is Leah and Rachel symbolically talking about law and grace? Yes or no? And if they go, well, I don't see it, you have a good day. There is not going to be any iron sharpening iron here, obviously. I'm going to go bring someone to life, and you can sit there and condemn somebody else to hell with your physical eyes, because that's all that the person's going to end up doing. They have no faith. They don't see anything past physicality, and their five senses definitely don't discern God, because our five senses do not know how to discern God. So, we could probably finish, we should actually finish Rachel and Leah tomorrow. And I'm glad Misunderstood brought that up, because to be honest with you, on this live, I don't think we've ever talked about Rachel and Leah. I don't recall. I mean, I know personally I've talked about it about 10. I think I've talked about it about 10,000 times, but I don't ever remember talking about it on here.
Yeah, no. So we didn't talk about it on here, but
maybe on Hard Truths back in the day.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's possible. Cause like I said, me personally, I've probably discussed it hundreds of times, but I don't recall if we've done it on the descaled line.
I got one more thing about cars that I noticed with other people's cars, with other people driving.
Cars? Okay.
Yeah. So
what?
I've noticed that other people drive, like when other people drive, they don't necessarily know that the lights in the back of their car are not for them.
Yeah.
They drive like the lights are for them, not for those behind them.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm about to drop off. God bless you.
All right, you go right ahead. All right.
God bless,
guys.
bro.
Hey, God bless. Y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all in the morning.
Hey,
We'll chat real quick.
God bless. It's my birthday today. I'm 45.
Well, happy birthday. Well,
happy birthday.
Yay.
I was going to ask real quick, if you think, so when Peter attacked Malchus, right? If you the reason why he didn't go for the leg or the hand or the arm, do you think the reason why he hit where he hit is so that way he was left with the ear to hear?
Well, I will say this, that it's just really weird how everything in the Bible is just how well it's just orchestrated. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not a coincidence that this is not really easy to explain, but I'll try to. So the name, look up Malchus, look up his name.
Okay.
And I think it's like the kingdom or something, or what's the name of his? And now who? Because, okay, hold on. What was let me make sure, because it's been a while since I went over this. What was the name of the person who Peter cut his ear off?
Malchus.
Malchus. Now, is Malchus a servant? Because for some reason it was either Malchus' servant that he cut his ear, or was it Malchus's ear? Maybe I'm getting two things confused.
It was his ear that he cut off.
Okay, so I don't know why I'm thinking it was his servant. Either way, I do remember that Malchus was the name
it is.
of what? It is what?
It says this. Then Simon Peter, having the sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear.
Okay, but the high priest's name was Malchus?
The servant's name was Malchus.
Okay, the servant's name is Malchus. Okay, but what's the name of Malchus mean in Greek?
Malchus.
It should be kingdom or something like that.
My king, kingdom, or counselor.
Yeah,
Yep.
kingdom. Okay, so it's not a coincidence. Now, watch this. Now, understand the servant in the Bible, depending on who the person is serving, okay? Because the servant's very important. I went over that a little bit already. Servant is very important. But it's not a coincidence that Malchus is a scribe or a Pharisee or whatnot, but he's representing Israel. True or not true?
Very true.
Okay, and his servant, just like Abraham had a servant, just like all these people have servants in the Bible, and they represent Christ, okay? This person's servant had his ear cut off, okay? And if you pay real close attention to the Bible in its entirety, again, this is through being familiar with the word, what you'll see is that the kingdom, because if you pay attention, who put the ear back on?
Jesus. Okay,
so Christ healed the hearing of the servant of Israel. It's literally telling you that only Christ is going to heal their ears. Only Christ. Not Moses, not Abraham, only Christ. He's the healer.
That's why he says that my sheep hear my voice, and
Yes.
the hiremen abandon the sheep. But
That's
my
right.
sheep hear the voice.
But my sheep hear my voice. And Israel, remember the name, Malchus, the kingdom. Okay, Israel. Their hearing can only be heard, or their ears can only be opened by Christ. Period. The end. Not the old covenant. Not anything. That's why he says. That's why you hear Jesus saying, "Don't tell me you have Abraham. Don't tell me you have Moses." He says it all the time. Don't give me that. He makes it clear who he is. He's the one that opens the blind eyes and opens the deaf ears. Him. He's the only one. Paul the Apostle's eyes, or I'm sorry, Saul of Tarsus' eyes were opened by Christ, not by Abraham, not by Moses. If the law could open our eyes, then the scribes and the Pharisees would have had their eyes open a long time ago.
Hey, Trot.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the saying, "A closed mouth doesn't eat"?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for something, and you can tell me to take a hike or whatever. But
okay,
if you have any kind of worksheet or anything that can give me the basic principles of your, like just everything that you understand about the spiritual context of God's word, just the basics. It seems like you've got the equivalencies like right there on a hair trigger in your head, and that would really help me to read correctly. And that's what I'm learning from you, is to read with spiritual eyes. And I know I can only get it in Christ, and I'll pray about that and get in the word. I just didn't know if you had kind of a
well, I'll say this, right? I'll say this. It's about how familiar you become with the Bible, right? It's all about becoming familiar. So faith comes by what?
Hearing, and hearing by the word of God.
Right. Does faith come by reading or hearing?
Hearing.
Okay, it comes by hearing, right? So you can read the word, but you still have to hear what Christ is saying in the scriptures. You have to hear it. So faith comes by hearing. So I'll say this. Just keep coming to the lives and keep hearing.
All right.
right?
Fair enough.
Just plant the seed. We'll plant the seed, water it. And the whole purpose of all of this is Jesus says, go ye and make what?
Disciples of all the nations.
What's a disciple?
Disciples.
What's a disciple?
Somebody that seeks to do what the person they're following is doing.
No. What's a disciple? Anybody?
A student.
A student, a learner, right?
Right.
Okay. Does he say, go ye and make bachelor's degree people? Go ye and make doctors. What level is he wanting you to get these people to? What level?
To know
In
that Jesus
relationship
Christ
with
is
Christ.
No, I don't mean that. I'm saying,
No.
okay. How? All right. It takes 4 years to get a bachelor's degree, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then after that, you go get a master's degree, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you go get a doctorate, pretty much, right? That's pretty much the gist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All he's saying is make disciples. So what's a disciple?
Is a student.
A student. Is he putting like, is there a certain level that you need to make somebody?
No, because he does the rest. The Holy Spirit does the
Okay.
rest.
So
All
Paul
we do
said,
is just
so Paul said, who is Apollos and who is Paul? It's God that gives the increase. He said, for one man plants a seed and another one watereth.
Yeah.
Our job is to go and make disciples. So what you're doing, he said, those who believe in me, these signs shall follow. They'll open the eyes of the blind, their ears of the deaf. The lame will walk.
Yeah.
Right? So making a disciple is showing someone how to hear from the Spirit. That's it. That's all you're doing. Right? This idea that we've had this whole time where we go to a church and we have the same pastor for 50 years and that pastor is just teaching. Eventually, that pastor is going to run out of certain things to talk about. You know why? Because his goal, and this goal was given by Christ, is just to make a disciple. That's it. Once the person can spiritually hear, the person don't need you anymore. I hate to say it. I hate to say that, but it's true. Because now they receive straight from the Father, just like Peter did. Flesh and blood has not told you this, but my Father, which is in heaven. His whole job was to come here so we can hear the Father again. Once a person can see and hear from the Father, it's the complete opposite of how we've been doing it. We were not supposed to take somebody and treat them as though that they themselves cannot hear from the Father. It's been a lie this whole time. It's been a lie.
So I'm getting ready to take a road trip to Denver. It's about 8 hours away, and see my sons that were brought up by their mother since 4 and 5. They're 14 and 16 now, and their mother's proud to be pagan, even though she married me in a church.
Yeah.
I was before I knew how important my faith was to me. So my boys are adamantly against, being brought up to be adamantly against, a little antichrist, really.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to learn how to best be an example to them, and this is like probably the best portrayal, Trot, of what we're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
other than just
yeah. So
the word.
Yeah. So the number one thing is to make sure that you get a sure foundation of who Christ is and make sure it's rooted in you very well. So the first thing that you need to get familiar with is make sure that the foundation that you're reading, like when you're reading the Word, you need to make sure that you can find Christ. Don't focus on how it can make you a better person in this world. That is not the focus. The focus is Christ, and everything else that you're trying to be better at, my friend, all those things will come without trying so hard. It will come accidentally.
Right.
As long as you focus on who you are in Christ, who Christ was. Go to the Old Testament and find him and let him show you who he is. Slowly, your perspective will start changing. Your perspective will not be on how you're supposed to be in this world. That's what the law does. The law tells you be good, be kind, be generous, be all these things, because it's trying to show you that your physical body doesn't know how to do that by a law. But through the actual law, the true law, the law of Christ, him living inside of you, once you have him rooted in the tree of life, once you have a sure foundation of who he is, which is going to show you who you are, you'll start being better than you ever were trying. This is a huge concept that I try to tell. You will be better at trying to be good by accident than you ever were trying if you can see Christ in the Bible.
Yeah.
Because the real you will start thriving and reigning in this world. And the flesh, you'll start being able to separate. You'll be able to see what the flesh wants to do, how it wants to act. You'll be able to separate that in your mind. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see that the soul is the real you, and it's listening too often to the flesh. I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about anything that digresses you away from the Lord. Even the law itself can do that, because it'll get you to focus on how good you're supposed to be. You're not under the law. You're under grace. Saying to someone you're not under the law is not telling them they're not supposed to behave. I don't know where these Hebrew Israelites, or these people that are under the law, they had this weird, they're like, do you still sin? Like, bro, we're not talking, man, what are you talking about? Like, they think if you say you're not under the law, they literally in their head, they hear, go sin freely. I don't know where they're getting that from. It is the most funniest thing. So, we are not under the law, meaning that we are not under a demand for God to love us. That's what that means. Saying you're not under the law does not mean, hey, go live like you're nuts. That's not what it means. It means that we are no longer under a demand. God is not demanding us to be good so he can love us. That's what that means. It means that Christ has already paid the price. So if he's already paid the price, when you were, the Bible tells us, while we were enemies of him, Christ died for us. While we were enemies, so now we're no longer enemies because he's already died for us. So if we're not enemies, why is people still coming to you talking about the law? If we're no longer enemies to him, because it's trying to show you that Christ loves you. That's all it's trying to show you.
Yeah.
That he loves you. And so if that's true, if he loves me, then it might be wise to pay attention to who loves you rather than paying attention to the law. So take your mind off the law and put your eyes on Christ, get a sure foundation of who he is, so you can have a sure foundation of who you are, what you inherited, not what you earned, what you inherited, right? If somebody worked really hard, a family member of mine, let's say they work really hard, they become a multi-billionaire, and they become unalived, and I get multi-billion dollars in my bank account, did I get that because I earned it, or did I inherit
we're spiritual trust fund babies.
Okay. So the point is, you couldn't earn it if you tried. Yeah. Does that mean go live like you're nuts? No, because if you're saved, you're not going to want to do those things anyway.
You want to honor the gift.
The difference is you're not under the demand to be good. God is not demanding you to be good. It was Christ that paid the penalty. Christ did. Right. So God loves you. Okay? He doesn't love your flesh. Let me make that real clear. God doesn't love your flesh. That may be hard for some people to hear. He doesn't love your flesh. I don't care how good your flesh is. I don't care how bad your flesh is. It's not your flesh that he didn't pay for the flesh. He paid for the soul by using his soul. It drives me nuts when people don't understand that God has a soul. It drives me up the wall. I'm like, oh, my Lord, here we go. That person must have got saved yesterday.
There's only so much, and there's got to be a continuity between spirit and flesh that gives us the disciplines that we have. You
What do you
know,
mean? What do you
taking
mean?
care of our temple is a godly thing to do. You know,
What's your temple?
your body.
Your physical body?
That's my understanding.
No. How can your physical
It's your
body?
soul.
How can your
It's your
physical?
soul, man.
How can your physical body that is sinful be a temple to God?
Only, by God's grace and
No,
discipline.
your soul is the temple. Your soul, not your physical body.
So God says that He does not dwell within buildings that are made by the hands of man. We were born of the womb of a human mom. You know, we were made by
Right.
the hands of man.
Yeah, so
Our
that's why
spirits
it's
were born
imperative.
again.
That's why it's important to understand spirit, soul, and body. So when you hear people say things like, "Oh, well, in the Old Testament there's spirit, soul, and body," but in the New Testament there's spirit, soul, and body, but in the Old Testament there's no spirit, soul, and body. Man, dude, don't waste your time arguing about it.
Right.
God is a 3-part being, man. He's a spirit, soul, and the body, and He made us in His image and in His likeness. And it's funny. You'll talk to someone that's been studying the Greek, the Hebrew, they've been studying the Bible, and you say, bro, God's got a soul, and they can't say yes right away. See, they don't want to say no because they don't want to look like a fool. But the fact that they don't say yes shows you right there and then they were not sure if God had a soul or not. But yet they're going to sit there and argue with them. I'm telling you, it's huge to understand that God gave His soul, who is Jesus. That soul that was in that physical body that Jesus had, that was God. That was God's soul. So when people are trying to figure it out, listen, do yourself a favor, okay? Quit trying to use your peanut brain to figure it out. You need to let the Spirit show you that that was God's soul in that physical body that Jesus had on this earth. And they're like, wait a minute, but he was all God, and listen, it still does not negate the fact that was God's soul. Missing the whole point. The whole point is God's soul was offered for you. That is the entire point of what I'm saying. Sitting here trying to make me prove to you what Jesus' body was, you're wasting your time. If you don't understand that God didn't offer His soul, if you don't understand that, I'm not wasting my time with you, okay? I understand it may not be easy to see. I get it. I was there, okay? I was there at one point.
Yeah,
But it's imperative.
It's meat, and I'm learning to digest it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
so
talk
when we
much
say
about it.
when Paul says, know ye not that ye are the temple, he makes it very clear in so many other verses that there is nothing profitable of the flesh. The flesh doesn't profit anything. So look, yes, it's true that our flesh is unalived because of Christ, what Christ did on the cross, right? He unalived the flesh, and our flesh is not a it's the easiest way to say it. The flesh is unalived and it is not redeemed. We'll just say that. The flesh is not redeemed, but your spirit is. Your spirit is perfect, and your spirit dwells in your soul, the real you. So when Paul says, know ye not that ye are the temple, he's talking to your soul, not your flesh. So the problem is people are not having an understanding of spirit, soul, and body. And because of this, when they hear you or I, they're thinking of flesh. Your flesh doesn't profit anything. If it did, then you'd be able to be good enough. But you can't be good enough. Why? Because your flesh profits nothing. It cannot earn God. Your flesh can't. So when a fool comes up to you and tells you that, you need to do this and you need to stop it, they are talking to your flesh. Notice that they're not talking to your soul. Why not? Because they don't see that God's already offered His soul for your soul. They don't see it. They still think that your flesh has to do it. Quit wasting your time talking to fools and arguing with them. Your flesh can't do it. Jesus told Peter, can you not stay up with me this 1 hour? No, he couldn't. The flesh is willing. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So if Jesus says the flesh is weak, and you tell Jesus, no, I can do it, you become a Peter. All these will run away from you, Lord, but I'll stand by your side. He ran away because he's trying to do it in his flesh. Your flesh cannot obey the law. You can try all you want, but it is an arrogant attitude to have. It will never happen.
My understanding of what happened with the turning away is that when the shepherds struck, the sheep will scatter. That's prophecy, and it was God's will for Jesus to be magnified by no other man being sufficient. Like having what it takes. Everybody else is lackluster compared to Jesus.
Yeah. So, but I can do this all day, and I better not. I got a lot of things I got to do today, and we're already 30 minutes past. Misunderstood you there?
Sorry.
Yes, brother, I'm here.
Yeah, if you want to come tomorrow, we'll probably more than likely we'll finish off Rachel and Leah just to kind of go through there. But obviously appreciate you bringing that up. Sometimes I don't know exactly where, somebody kind of wants to hop around. There are certain things that I stay away from, and maybe one day I'll discuss them. But as of right now, we're just going to talk about Jesus. And if somebody wants to hear about something else, well, they can go to YouTube, I guess, or something else. But I'll see everybody in the morning. God bless, man. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Love you in Jesus' name, brother.
Yes,